Jets are going 12-5, getting a first round bye, home field for at least one game in the playoffs this year. What do you think of that? What do you think of it? That's what I'm saying. 12-5. We're going, guys. 12-5. 12-5, first round bye, home field playoff game. Guys, it's going to be great. Are you kidding me? We were 2-14 last year. We have a whole roster full of kids. I got a first-time rookie head coach, rookie offensive coordinator. We don't know what these guys are going to do. We have a quarterback. He's never played an NFL game. Mekhi Becton can't stay healthy. I'm telling you, we're going 12-5. I'm telling you, you're out of your friggin' mind. The Washington Redskins at the time, they didn't want to trade the 5th overall pick. They didn't want to do it. They probably wanted Ricky Williams, or they wanted somebody for their own team. And Ditka just kept dumping shit. No, I'll give you this, I'll give you that. And he got to a deal. You're seriously going to give me the 12 overall, every pick in this draft, plus your first and third next year for one guy? They took it. So you want to know how this worked out? 2 years later, the Saints traded Ricky Williams. I think they fired Mike Ditka too. Like, this guy's out of his fucking mind. So that's what they did. This guy's out of his mind. They bought in on name only. They said, hey, man, he's a genius. We're just going to go. Nobody thinks this is smart. Nobody else in the organization bought into that one. I'm sure of it. But they let him do it because he's Mike Ditka, and then we learned right there that Mike Ditka's plumb crazy. Well, here we are. Because why not? Right? Because why not? I was here. I'm here, and I'm about to record a video, right? I said, okay, I got to record a video for my people. It's been weird with the holidays. Let me go record a late night vlog. And I'm doing all my notes. I'm like, what am I doing? Let me just go live. Let me just go hang out for a little while. So here we are. So welcome. Look at all you guys. This is great. This is cool. Why not do this? I think, and you guys clearly feel the same way. So welcome to our first ever Friday night fun. What do you think of that? Check it out. Did I do the thing? Look at my thing. Friday night fun. There it is. I'm GreenBean, and this is good. Right, JZ Jetsfan. You like that? I was trying to think. What do? I don't have an intro for Friday Night Fun. Brand new. It's like literally 12 minutes old. So, literally, dude, I got the idea. It was probably 9:22. Shit, you not 9:21, something like that. I said, all right, I just made the studio and real quick. So I don't have an intro. So I went retro, like Jay-Z's saying. That's right. I went with the old stuff. Remember, guys, that was how I did it. And you can see in the backgrounds, there's my RV. Oh, it's nostalgic, isn't it? I got to do more of that. Let me just say hello to Matt. Matt, I just saw you. I saw a comment. This is what I want to talk. I want to show you guys. You guys don't believe me. I get people comments all the time that say, yeah, people don't really blow you up. People don't really say that shit to you. Like, I get crazy message. Now, Matt's message wasn't crazy, but it's leaning that way. So I want to just show. I just saw Matt's comment on my Under the Thursday Thick of It, saying the same thing, like you're becoming a Zach hater. And this is what I try to tell you guys. Like, it doesn't matter how dead center I stay. I'm complimentary, yet I'm constructive. I get it from both sides. People are calling me a Zach hater, and I shit you not. If I could find the comment, I'll show it to you. I think it was on Twitter today, a DM maybe. Maybe it was Instagram. Somebody called me a Zach apologist today. Zach lover. Zach can do no wrong in your eyes. I'm like, I don't know how you guys hear this shit. I swear to God. Like, I'm right down the middle, in my opinion. Maybe I am a hater. I don't know, Matt. I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so. I think you're too much on one side, so therefore you hear something. You know, I want nothing more than for Zach Wilson to be the guy. I have not seen enough to feel confident that he is. Does that make me a hater? I don't know. I don't know, buddy. Jets, look at him. He's just writing it all over the place. It's all he's writing. I love it, man. Hank, what's up, Hank? This is just started. Yeah, right. We just did it, Hank. Said, why the hell not? Piddly Poo's here. What's up, Piddly Poo? I don't think I've seen you for a minute. Piddly Pie Poo. I've been calling you Piddly Poo the whole time. You know that. Every time I say, he's probably like, this guy can't read. This guy sucks. A Wild Wave. Where am I at? I'm home. I just got home. I was out and about today. I went to, you know what I did today? I'll show you guys. I went to buy my son. I don't know if you guys know. I sold my son's, we bought him an electric drum kit so he could be quieter, like in the RV and all that kind of stuff. He didn't really like it. So we sold his other kit years ago. So now he hasn't had a real kit. I mean, his electric kit's a real kit, but he doesn't like it. So we went today and I bought him. See it? Can you see it back there? A nice pearl drum set. So I went to Richmond today, Richmond, Virginia. I didn't see anything at Sam Ash. I didn't see anything at Guitar Center. And we went on Marketplace, and some guy in Richmond, hello, Michael was his name. And he said, yeah. I said, will you take this? He said, yeah, sure. I said, all right, I'll be over there in 30 minutes. So I went to Richmond, got my son a dress. So we've been out and about all day. I just got home. So I'm home, Wild Wave. Jets 12. You like that, right? You see that? Joe S. What's up, Joe? Good to see you back. We've been hanging out a lot this week, you and me. Bethencourt's here. That's right. Hit the like button, everybody. Do me a solid. Joe Campione. He's reading this roster. I could not agree more. And I think that's the catalyst, guys. I think when you look around, and we'll talk about this, we got two main subjects today. One is obviously we're still going to talk Zach, Mike White, right? A little bit, because some new stuff came out today that I want to talk to you guys about. Maybe it came out yesterday, but I missed it. Today and yesterday, some stuff came out. Some former Jets players are talking, and, nothing crazy, but it's worth talking about. The other, I think the big news, guys, we were talking about the Jets cut Marcel Harris the other day. As we know, he's a kind of a hybrid safety linebacker. They've been using him at linebacker when Quincy Williams would go out. First guy coming off the bench is Marcel Harris. Obviously, Quan is certain packages and stuff. He's kind of a hybrid starter, quasi-starter, let's say, Quan. But Marcel Harris is kind of the first linebacker off the bench, interestingly. So they cut him. And now we have Jamie Sherwood, and he's still there. And Hamza Nasruddin's still on the practice squad. But as far as the roster, it's just Sherwood. And then we got Will Parks and some other safety kind of guys that can fill a similar role in the linebacker hybrid, big nickel kind of a guy. But we were wondering why they did this. You know why they did it, guys? Did you guys hear? And we'll talk about it. It looks like they're going to keep Denzel Mims on the active roster, even though Corey Davis is back. So Denzel Mims, even though he has pretty high drop rate right now, probably it could be highest in the league because of the situation that's gone on with the bad passes and all. Some of it's his fault. You don't want to take it all away, but it's been a weird situation. But in Salah's eyes, his impact in the running game and the catches that he did make were clutch. And he's on the roster, guys. He did it. So that's big. So we'll talk about those couple of things. But just to talk about this, Joe, that's the catalyst for why we're not seeing Zach this week. Like, if this was last year, Zach's healthy, we're not really winning many games, even if we're winning a few games. But the year is really just, let's just get as many of our young guys as much playing time as we can. Then Zach wouldn't be benched right now. I'm telling you. It's bigger than that this year. Like Frankie said, the way Frankie put it, and I think most people are saying it this way, the timeline has been accelerated. We're ahead of schedule. So you can't have this many young and then you got the older guys like CJ Mosley, Sheldon Rankins, and you could even Quinnen's young, but he's a vet now. He's definitely a vet. And you have some of those guys too, Corey Davis, McGovern, right? So, but those, they don't want to blow this opportunity. You never know when you're going to get a good team again. You just never know. And they have a good team. Like Joe just said, we are loaded. We are loaded. Hey, Mindy Adams here. What's up, Mindy? Good to see you. Lord Streets, how to use your money. Jets are the best if you pick the jobs and make it I don't know what that means, Lord Streets. Pick the jobs and make it $1,000. I don't know what that means. Maybe because I'm so out of the gambling game that I just don't know new gambling terms, but I hope you're right, Lord Streets, and I hope you make a lot of money. Hey, Aaron Butler's back. What's up, buddy? What's up? Good to see you. I know that you disappeared when you were having your lull. You're one of those guys. We got you. We got you pegged. You were a ball buster for months and months and months. When your team dipped, you hid, you disappeared, and then your team does well and you pop up again. So you're that guy. You're what we call a front runner guy. Fair weather. That's what, not front runner. Front runner is different. Fair weather. It's good to see you, though. Just calm down. There's no reason to be here for you other than you feel like we're your friends and family. It's still Thanksgiving in my mind. It's Thanksgiving Day weekend, right? Black Friday. It's a friendly day where we stab each other for $10 off of a TV. It's what we do today. It's very loving, kind. So you got to be kind. You got to be nice in here today, or I'll just kick you out. Deal? Sully's here, my good buddy. It's good to see you. Dakota's here. F the coin. I know. I saw a funny, like not a meme. I guess it could be called a meme. But it had the Undertaker standing behind a wrestler, whatever, and it said, the wrestler was the coin guy, and the Undertaker behind him, and it was like Mike F. and White. Mike F. and White. I think, dude, we're gonna have to work real hard to lose this game this week. And if it's Trevor Siemian, like they were saying, right? Like CJ Moses said, look, up to this point, we're practicing, we're planning for Justin Fields. We've been working on the starter. That's who we're playing. And I think, honest to God, not that you ignore Trevor Siemian. He has had his games. He is a quality backup. He was our backup for about a minute and a half before he ripped his friggin' leg off. Where he ripped his leg off, right? And then we got Luke Falk. But I don't even think you got a game plan for him. He's just a standard guy. Like, there's nothing that he's bringing to the table that is outside of it's football. Like, Trevor Siemian's just a guy, like, he can have his good games. He's like, when he was hot, when he was younger, like over in the Denver days and all that, very accurate. That was kind of his thing, right? And he had some legs too. But, Trey, you don't have to put much emphasis in what Trevor Siemian's going to bring to the offense. You just play football. And you don't have to worry about the running like you do with Justin Fields. So you can settle it down. Totally different game plan. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think you got to do too much to plan for Trevor Siemian. Aurora Sum. Yeah, you're welcome. I needed it too. That's what, like I said, I was just going to record a video for you guys. And I'm like, why not just do the thing? I'll just hang out. You guys are the best. Maybe, Aaron. There you go. That's the kind of talk we like, right? You never know, bro. Like, look, you were here during our off season while we were excited, right? We're excited. Very few of us were talking playoffs. We were like, oh, it'd be really great to get like a 9-win season, 10, and sneak in with the 7th seed. That'd be exciting, but nobody was really banking on that. Few of us, there were some. But this is exciting for us. We're ahead of schedule. And even though we had this little dip, it's really only, dude, think about this. We've lost 2 games in the last 6. Both of them were against the same team. And we're feeling like the sky is falling. It's not. If we can get our running game going, but Herbig is back this week, guys. Hey, Sully. Good to see you, buddy. Jim Pock. What's up? We can get our run game going with Herbig is back, supposedly. All right, he's rolling, as Salah said. He's ready to roll. If he's able to improve that, we can get the running game going against the Bears. Their run defense is not necessarily scary. We can get it going against them. Then we play the Vikings. The Vikings, their defense is suspect. In particular, their rushing defense is their weakness. So if we can get a 2-week buildup of our run game being the focal point of the offense, which is what we wanted to do anyway, that could really bode well for Mike White picking up some steam to head into that Buffalo game. Because that, last year's Buffalo game was no fun for Mike White. No fun for us either. Robert S. is here. Hey, buddy. let's see. How was the desert of New England tears? I don't know what that means, Robert. Tires? Tears? Oh, New England crying, like tears? Tears? Those kinds of tears? Yeah, I like it. But I got to say, dude, I'm just going to say this, and I'm happy with the results, but that Hunter Henry end zone, the goal line, that was a fucking touchdown, was it not? What are they talking about? I know he bobbled the ball afterward, but then Brees Hall's wasn't a touchdown if that wasn't. You know what I mean? I know, right, guys? Right. I'm not a hater. And Zach's just shitty. Jim Pock, right. That's it. I'm not a hater of anybody. Now, I have been known to be a lover of people. I support people maybe too long, right? You know, I'm on the Denzel MIMS. He's scaring me. I got to be honest. But so good things are happening. But, you know, LaMichael Pirine, Jabari Zuniga. I like those guys because I did a lot of work, for lack of a better term, research on those guys coming in, and I liked them as prospects. The fact that the Jets got them, I was like, oh, cool. I thought both were drafted early. I thought both times I went, ooh, already? I like the player, but I don't like the round. And it didn't work, you know? So I've been known to do that. I hang on to my people, you know, maybe a little too long sometimes, but hater, you know, there was, Javelin Guidry was a guy I really did not like, okay? Did not like him. In my opinion, this is my opinion. I thought he was a puss. That was my opinion. All right. I said it when we did the break, you know, when we had our undrafted free agent class. I did that video when we first left for the road. It was like literally, I moved out of my house and got into the RV day 2 of that draft. I shit you not. So day 3, we got our end of the day 3, we got our whole undrafted free agent class. And I did immediate research on all those guys. And I watched 2 full games of Javelin Guidry, dude. Why? Because you know why I did? Because I liked his name and he was fast. I was like, oh man, we got a gem. He's so fast. And I kept seeing him. He does side tackles, like he sidesteps and jumps. I hate those guys. But then when he came into, I never really liked him. I rooted for him, of course. But remember in the Tennessee game against Derrick Henry, he had a couple really nice tackles on the scariest running back in the NFL. And he had one single open field tackle. He saved the day. He saved the game. So I think like, I was never a hater, but I didn't like him. But he came. I was like, okay. Just because I don't like him doesn't mean he can't be good. Let's see. BG the Kid, GreenBean, did Joe D just totally miss on Zach? I'm ready for Mike White, but still bummed. But I'm with that. That's how I feel. I think that's a great way to put it. I'm bummed too. How the hell can you not be upset? Even if you were a guy, like, you know, remember what we looked at or what we looked like at that point as a fan base. You had the people that wanted Sam, very much so, thought the Jets did him wrong, the whole thing, right? You had a large contingent of people that did not want Sam to go. But then once we traded Sam, those guys, they wanted Joe Douglas to be proven wrong. A lot of them. They wanted it to be a mistake. They wanted Sam. They were going to root for Sam in Carolina and the whole thing. And then on top of that, you had people that were fine with the Sam situation, with moving on from Sam, but didn't really like Zach Wilson. You had Justin Fields heads, right? You had a lot of Trevor Lawrence people, but we knew it was unrealistic to even think that he was going to make it to us, and he didn't. But then you had people that were totally fine with a trade back and grabbing a Mac Jones or a Kyle Trask. Don't forget all the Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney stuff. That is Kyle Trask, man. He got 2 of his receivers in the first round. You know, first round selection. So, you know, I liked Kyle. I still do. And he's been sitting behind Tom Brady, bro. That kid can come in and light up the NFL. We have no idea. He's just sitting there grooming behind Tom Brady, a la Jimmy G. So we don't know. So you had those people too. And I was in that category. I liked Zach Wilson fine. I liked Justin Fields just as much as a prospect for very different reasons, right? I have my concerns there, just like I have my concerns. I didn't like Trey Lance if they were planning to start him right away. I love Trey Lance as like a prospect, like sit 2 years, at least one, and kind of develop him and all that. But I didn't like him as like an immediate starter. Thought the San Francisco 49ers situation for him was very good. But again, I was totally fine. I was actually hoping for us to trade back, get 3 firsts and change, and then to take Mac Jones. That's what I thought was fine. But that all said, so you had our contingents, right? But let's be real. As Jets fans, every single one of us should absolutely, without reservation, be hoping that the Jets' choice with their most valuable asset they've had since 1997. Do you realize we have not had a draft pick that high? I know it feels like it because we've sucked for so long, but we've never been the second worst team or higher since 1997. That's a long friggin' time. So you want the idea, like the choice that we made with that fucking pick to work out, right, BG? So it's a bummer, dude. It's a bummer. Now, I don't know what it is. You know, maybe he's just not. And this is what I was talking about. This is where it starts. The people that are looking for me to be a hater, this is where they start to get their ammo right here. I'm going to say it. Maybe Zach Wilson was never going to be a good NFL quarterback because of the gap between what his experience was at BYU and what his experience is going to be in the NFL, and particularly for the New York Jets. A tortured fan base and franchise under the most intense microscope in the NFL. So maybe that's just it. And they just flat out missed, BG. Maybe they just missed. Maybe they thought Greg Knapp was going to take this kid. This kid had everything in the world, and Greg Knapp is going to make him the next superstar in the NFL. And maybe that's what it is, dudes. I mean, don't forget, losing Greg Knapp was a major blow. Obviously, the bigger blow is to his family and the people that loved him, without question. But just looking at it through the football New York Jets lens, dude, it was the biggest setback ever. He was the brains. He was the vet. He was the established offensive mind quarterback guru. He's the guy that made it smart to take a kid with the second overall pick as opposed to trading back or even going with a vet. It was Greg Knapp. So I'm going to continue this diatribe, but I'm going to bring on our special friend for tonight. He didn't know he was doing this either. I texted him, what was it, 2 minutes before? I was like, hey, by the way, I'm going live if you want to stop in. So I know you guys think it's going to be somebody else, but it's not that person. Let's say hello to our good friend. And again, I'm going to continue my diatribe, but let's say hello. He's wearing a yellow shirt, which is very, very fun. Let's say hello to Dom C. What's up, Dom? Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, Bean. Happy Thanksgiving, pal. Happy Thanksgiving, chat. How's everyone doing?
Right on.
Yeah, man.
It's good to see you. I'm glad that you were able to do it. And I'm just going to hang for a little while, you know?
Now, listen, man. Pleasant surprise because my wife and my kids happened to be out of town. I had to work today. They didn't. You know, they're off from school. My wife is a school nurse, so she was off as well. So she went to visit her college roommate out in Allentown, Pennsylvania. I had the night off. I had all these grandiose plans, and I came home from work, and I laid down with the dogs. And that was about it.
Yeah, man. It's nice. It's good to be able to do that. That's what I was doing. Dom, I just told them, I was about to record and edit and do the whole thing, a late night vlog. And I'm like, that takes me about, even if I do like a 5-6 minute video, which I never do. I can't shut up. So I talk for 10 to 15 minutes every time. You know what that's like, right? So,
I've heard.
So, but I was like, I'm like, all right, so I'm going to record it for, let's say 15 minutes. Then if I have a 15-minute record that takes me about 30 to 45 minutes to edit 15 minutes. So that's an hour right there. Then you got the download time, then the upload time. Then I got to make a thumbnail. And I'm like, bro, I could just go live. Fuck it. That's what I said. Friday night. Let me see what Dom's doing. Literally what I did. And then I made fun of Jeremy. I didn't realize he was live at Harrison's channel.
Yeah, and, I was listening in. I was actually,
yeah.
That's what I was sitting on the couch fiddling around, and I had those guys in the background.
Yeah, I don't like to step on somebody. I didn't realize till I already put it. I was like, oh, shit. And then, but I looked at Jeremy, bro. He looked so tired. I had to text him like, you look, dude,
well, they've been on since 7, so they've been going strong.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. So what I was saying, and then afterwards, I'd like, I'd like to hear your thoughts. We're talking about like, did BG the Kid put up a pretty good comment, which was like, did Joe Douglas just miss? Like, it's like, he said, I'm so bummed with this. Like, all right, we're hopeful for Mike White. We're going to root for him, but I'm bummed. Sure. Yes. And I can second that, so we're talking about, did Joe Douglas just flat out miss on Zach, which, and that's very, very possible. So I was just deconstructing that a little bit. And I was talking about, trying to remember exactly what our situation was. And we were Mike LaFleur. We had Robert Saleh. These are all first-year guys. The one guy who was like the wizard in the room was Greg Knapp, who was one of the most respected real quarterback guru guys. Like Adam Gase had that moniker, Jeremy Bates, they said he's kind of a quarterback. They were frauds. Like they could be good, but Greg Knapp was the real deal. He's a brilliant mind that some of the best harken back to, their careers were contingent upon their meeting and time with Greg Knapp. Right.
Sure. Yep.
So his presence made it more acceptable and it could encourage the idea of grabbing a guy with Zach Wilson's measurables, intangibles, all the things that he brings, his size, his strength, his work ethic, all the tools that he has, giving him to Greg Knapp while Mike LaFleur just kind of bugs out with the offensive scheme. And then you got Mike Calabrese learning under Greg Knapp. It was a beautiful scenario. And then the tragedy happens and we're stuck. And then you bring in Kavanaugh, who was about as good as you could hope for at that point. In the season, it was like everybody's obviously hired. He just happened to be retired, sitting on the couch. So it's all well and good. And then you bring in John Beck and the whole thing. But maybe it was a mistake looking back because we didn't, without Greg Knapp, maybe we put too much on Greg Knapp being the guy. Now, in hindsight, maybe that's the case. But I don't think, again, like I was on the side of trade back, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Kyle Trask. I'm just as happy with those guys in 3 firsts as I am with Zach Wilson, right?
Yeah.
That is what it is. I don't think Zach Wilson was a bad pick. I just think with everything, the way that it's landing, just the way that it all went with Mike LaFleur, being on the field, just look back at our lineage of scenarios. I think that a reset right now actually makes a ton of sense, just to pull him back and see what this team can do. Because right now we're looking, is it Mike LaFleur? Is it the offensive line? Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, let's just pull Zach back. He's clearly he's having problems. You can't deny it. Even the most staunch Zach Wilson supporters, you can look at him and go, yeah, it's not good. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Offensive line, wide, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're seeing, it's not good. So I think, I don't know if it was necessarily a mistake, right? If it was just a bad use of the most valuable resource that the Jets have owned since 1997, being the number 2 overall pick. But I don't know. So what's your view? And then V-Man, I see a couple super chats starting with V-Man. I'll get to those right. I'm very curious. Would you call it a mistake looking back at now where we stand now with the Zach Wilson pick?
And here's here's my take, Bean, is that a mistake is a weird way to describe it. You would hope that if you're taking somebody with the 2nd overall pick, that he's going to step in at some point, maybe not in year one or so on and so forth, but he's going to step in and become the face of your franchise. I don't think that's an outlandish statement. And I think at this point, and this is just my opinion and my views, is that the realization that Zach Wilson is not going to be, isn't a franchise quarterback now. Right here, right now. Do I think he could get there? Maybe. Yeah, I'm not. I think this reset is going to be wonderful, just like you talked about. I think it's exactly what he needs. It's a little bit. It's a little bit of kind of re-emphasis of his footwork and all the mechanics, so on and so forth. On top of it, it's a little bit of humility. Let's give this kid who's now, the more you hear and the more you read, didn't have many fans outside of one Jets drive. Like it's coming out more that he's rubbing people the wrong way and maybe a little bit too cocksure of himself.
Yeah. Just a little bit, right? Just a little rubby. Little abrasive, maybe a little rubby. People don't love their interactions with him right off the bat. We're seeing some of that.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
So, and this is how I viewed Zach coming into the, when we drafted him and so on and so forth. When the idea that Zach Wilson was, we were targeting, or we were, honing in on Zach being the number 2 overall pick. This was, if you guys in the chat and you remember, this was coming off of a strong season, a strong run that Fields was having. Fields was playing great his last year at Ohio State.
Oh yeah.
And then, and then the rumblings of this kid from Utah comes in, and then you get to the pro day, and he's in his gym shorts, and he's doing cartwheels and throwing the ball against his body, flicking his wrist for 60 yards. And
the throw,
exactly. What a talent! What arm talent, and the media. Certain people in the media started hyping him up. Steve Young loved him. Chris Sims loved him, and so as a Jet fan, I can only speak for myself. I'm not speaking for everyone. You kind of I have a tendency sometimes to take the good that I'm hearing and kind of disregard the rest of it, right?
Yeah.
The Zach haters, or not haters, but the people that were not so much really all on board the Zach train, I poo-pooed what a lot of them had to say. And then I watched, and, Zach Wilson had a wonderful year that last year at BYU, Now, call a spade. I'm not knocking the talent that BYU plays. They're an independent school. They play a Pac-10 schedule, just like Notre Dame does with the ACC.
Right.
They're independent, but they play an ACC. However, that year was a little bit wonky because of the COVID. So they played a lot more of the Middle Tennessee states and East Texas, aluminum, elementary university, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So the talent level had already dipped a little bit. Now, does that play into the numbers? I don't know. Then there's the big, the big factor that I think some people really hang their hats on is that he only had one good season, right?
Yeah.
He only had that one good season. Now,
that always scares me, by the way.
I know, and I was going to reference you because I remember implicitly how you were not sold on Quentin Williams because he was that 1 year wonder. He had that one big year. Came up, so on and so forth. Now, it works out for some people, and it just may for Zach, okay? But last year, I hung my hat on, the 4 or 5 big plays that he had, those escapabilities, the big throw in Tennessee to Corey Davis,
oh yeah,
so on and so forth. And I hung on that, and I hung on the fact that he was a rookie. And it was a bad team, and they were rebuilding, and they were throwing him in the fire to see really what he was made of. Gets hurt this year, and that last quarter in Pittsburgh really had me believing Zach was it. And then I've seen nothing but regression yet. Do I think that Zach is a bad quarterback? Do I think he's a miss? I don't think he's necessarily a miss, and I don't think that what we're doing here with this reset is the wrong thing whatsoever. I think I just think that 20 games in, the idea that he's going to be the face of the franchise has kind of dissipated. There's a percentage that it still can happen, but in my eyes, it's a lot smaller and smaller.
It is right. The it's an eye of a needle right now. And that's not, look, it's possible. And let me say this, the kid, number one, he's young, right? Number two, he has the work ethic. It's real. He has it. And number three, he still maintains all of the physical skills that he had. Now, another thing that people aren't talking about, right? And somebody, it was a comment under one of my videos. I thought it was fantastic. And it's like, it's crazy that we're not talking about this because I think it's really got to be factored in. He's had 2 knee injuries in a very short period of time, right? Less than a year. One was no contact, nothing. He was just doing his thing. It wasn't even that hard of a cut. And he was out till the first, till game 4. And that was game 1 of the preseason. So it was 7-8 weeks he was out. So there could be a lot of that in here. Like we're talking about his head being off, right? Clearly, he's got the tools. He can definitely throw a fucking 5-yard pass. We know this about him, but he can't all of a sudden. So the idea that that something's in his head, it could very well be stemming from the fear created by the knee injury that he's nervous. He's nervous about, like when you see him taking off and breaking the pocket maybe a second early. Those kinds of things are all in there with him, and it's knocking him off. It's just knocking him off. And therefore, even when he has a pocket, the idea of just comfortably throwing a pass, he's lost. He's not able to do it. But I do agree with what you're saying. That it's not that he can't be, and it's not like Salah was, very abrupt with the way he said his career it's not over, and the idea is to get him back this season, just like the Patriots did a few weeks ago with Mac Jones. They benched him, they brought him back in, dude. He's playing very, very well right now for what Mac Jones is. He looks fine. That could have happened. It could have worked. So real quick, Dom, I want to just V-Man on that Mac Jones subject. V-Man, thank you for the super chat. He said, every time the Pats lose, an angel gets his wings. I want you to know, V-Man, I feel the exact same way. Nothing makes me happier. Now, on that, DeJuice Maine, I want to thank you, DeJuice, for coming in with the comment that I had up there before about the Patriots tears. DeJuice says, I think he meant dessert, not desert. So, right. So I mucked it all up, but you guys are the shit, right? So you guys put it all together for me. So yes, I enjoyed the dessert of the Patriots tears. So thank you. It's all making sense now. V-Man, we got an angel getting their wings, and what a great thing. Again, though, I have to say that looked like a touchdown to me. Now, I didn't rewatch the game. I don't know all the intricate details. I just didn't do that, but I saw some highlights. I saw the controversy. I saw Belichick's remarks to the media. They asked him, what'd you think about that? And he said, well, you got to talk to the officials about that one. You know how to do that. He's like very snide, a little snarky. And he said, talk to them because clearly I have no, ifs, ands, but I think it's nice to see that the Patriots are finally on the other side of some of that stuff. Very rarely is that their situation.
Yeah, so, I watched it, and I watched the highlights, and I watched it again, and I agree. I think it was definitely a touchdown, but then the breaks, and it's about time. It's about time that the switch just flipped the opposite way, right? Not in their favor. So.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. Like, look, not for nothing. There's been just a dozen, if not more times that just with us and them, we've been on the other side of shit like that. What about the Austin Seferian Jenkins thing? I mean, that's such a big thing that Curb Your Enthusiasm made a whole episode around the New York Jets and basically centered on that play. It was like, that's what they were talking about. It was bullshit. So anyway, that's it's nice to see them on that side of things. I couldn't be happier. There's not a fan base in the world that deserves some NFL derived pain more than the Patriots fans. None. And they are so cocky and shitty about it. Like, they're the worst, dude. They're the worst that I've ever seen for me. All right, that's what I don't like him. Chris KV checking in, Dom. He says Sauce and DJ Reed versus Jefferson and Thielen equals a barn burner. Now, let me do the let me say this, Chris, let's not get ahead of ourselves. That's the company line, right? We don't want to.
That's the company line, right?
Yeah. We got to say that. I don't want to look past the Bears, right? Because we lose this one and you want to talk about a shitstorm. All right. We need to win this game, get us to 7, and then we can, as a team, constructively and adequately go into this game as a 7-win team on a victory, and then we can do it right. But that said, that does have the makings of a pretty damn good matchup, bro. Right? Yeah. DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner versus Justin Jefferson, who, in my opinion, is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. A couple of years ago, I was really behind like DeAndre Hopkins over maybe a Michael Thomas. There were lots, but I was very high on Jefferson coming out in the draft, and boy, oh boy, is he just the most exciting player in the NFL, in my opinion, right now.
I was talking with somebody. I was talking about that game again, not getting ahead of ourselves, but I was talking about that game in particular with a guy at work who happens to be a Minnesota fan, and he made something completely. He made such good sense. Now, Justin Jefferson, was a good college receiver. Not doubting that. He was very good. But he did most of his damage in college in the slot. And he said, if I'm coaching Minnesota, he's like, I'm not even messing with Sauce Gardner. He's like, do I think that Sauce Gardner is going to completely shut down Justin Jefferson? This is him saying this as a Minnesota fan. He said, do I think Sauce Gardner is going to completely shut down Justin Jefferson? He said, no. He's like, but I'm not even going to bother. He's like, I'm going to move him to the slot. He's like, I'm going to take my chances with your slot cornerback Carter. I said, oh, that's, pretty wise thinking. Again, Sauce and DJ Reed have stepped up and showed up in all the biggest matches. Yet, the biggest matchups that they've had so far, whether it be Cincinnati or Buffalo or any other wide receiver duo. So I'm not necessarily concerned, but it sure does make good headlines, man. It sure does make a good watch. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Now, I just hope. We're talking about Thielen is what we call a crafty wide receiver. The guy knows how to get open. Yeah. For all intents and purposes, he's not really all that spectacular looking. He's one of those guys.
No, he's older, 32, 33 years old, lost a step. But like you said, he'll find the hole in the zone. Yep. He'll know it. You got the zone beater and you got the man beater.
That's right.
You get the best of both worlds between those two.
Exactly. Guys. And you get those guys going. You get them going, and it can be a deluge.
Their offense, they have a lot of weapons. It's a very remember they traded for TJ Hawkinson, so now they got a lethal tight end that can
and they're using him right off the bat too, man.
Oh yeah,
right away.
Dalvin Cook and Madison are good running backs. Kirk Cousins is what he is. People either love him or hate him. I'll tell you this much: I would love for Kirk Cousins to be a Jet right now, right here, right now.
Tell me about it. Right.
So, but I want to get back to your point about the knee injury, thing for Zach. It definitely could be playing into it. Somebody had said this, and I got thinking about it, and it makes a lot of sense. Like Zach, the thing that I think the biggest problem for him, forget about the mechanics. Those are all a problem. But the thing that's compounding all those mechanical issues to go awry is. He looks like he's playing scared, like he's afraid to make the wrong play. I was a baseball player, I was a college baseball player, and listen, I can't tell you how many times my coaches, growing up from when I was a little kid all the way through college, you get a ball hit to you, you boot it, and then what you have to do is you have to figure out a way how to forget that. Next play happens. To me, it looks like Zach can't do that. He's playing scared. He's afraid to make the wrong play, and he's just kind of overthinking. Instead of the game slowing down and him kind of coming into his own in that sense, he's kind of wound up like a rubber band, so tight, afraid to do the wrong thing that it's getting faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, right.
The game's speeding up. And then when you're like that, and you're similar to like a golfer who gets the yips. Can't putt the ball from more than 20 feet. It's just like a mental block. That's what he's doing. He's got this. He's just so afraid, I think, to make the wrong decision, because I can't imagine that he's not capable of making the decision. You know what I mean? It's not. I don't think it's the fact that he's not, that he's Jamarcus Russell and he can't read defenses or read what's going on, so on and so forth. I just think that he's afraid to make the wrong decision. You know, he's hesitant, he's gun shy, and just can't. You know, you can't play football like that, especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah. I think that's it. I mean, like, you know, look, and when we were watching together, everybody, we have the live stream and everything for the games, we were watching. We went into the Pats game with such high hopes. I mean, really, we felt good. And from the first play, Dom, in the chat, and Jeremy, myself, we went, oh no. Like, you could see it. And then I think we went 3 and out, but you could see Zach he had the air of someone who's a little bit yippy. He was a little bit tight. And you could see it. And that is fear, guys. It's very, you know, like one of my favorite things examples to point to years ago when when the Ravens is for you, Aaron Butler. You probably weren't even born yet, but the Ravens they were going to be the number 1 defense in NFL history. Matter of fact, they played the Jets on Christmas Eve that year, and we had a win and we're in. That was the Al Groh year. We win and we're in the playoffs. We lose and we're out. And we're playing the Ravens, and they had to do something. In order to be the best defense in NFL history, they had to hold the Jets to like 10 points or under. Well, the Jets went up 14-0 on them in the first quarter. It was amazing. It was awesome. So exciting. But they made it to the Super Bowl that year, and they played. You remember who they played that year, Dom?
No.
They played the New York Giants.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the Kerry Collins New York Giants. Now, one of the things that particular defense was known for was their ability to terrify and just abuse quarterbacks, right? You had all the guys, right?
Ray Lewis was there.
Ray Lewis, you got Terrell Suggs, you had Nagata, you saw Siragusa, God rest his soul. I mean, you had everybody. It was like just, you know, they were prime. Bart Scott. I mean, they were all there. So that's who they were playing. Now, I went to my cousin's house. I'm rooting for the Giants because all my family, I'm like, I hate to see the Giants win. Secretly, I'm rooting for the Ravens, but I'm pretending to root for the Giants, right? Play one. Kerry Collins, under center, goes back to pass, and his feet went like this. He was scared from the word go. I said, all the fans went, oh, it's over. Yeah. This game is toast. And the Ravens proceeded to batter them. It was like the worst Super Bowl, boring. And you knew it from the word go. The quarterback is scared. It's over. The only thing that can counteract that is you get a really good pop to the mouth, like really good, knocks you silly, and the adrenaline kicks up and you go, that's it. I don't care. It's like being in a fight. Like you're scared and you get that real good shot and something clicks and you're just an animal. That's the only thing that can counteract it. But most of the time, once that happens, it's a wrap. And it was a wrap. And when we saw that for Zach, this week, against the Pats, it was like sad. I mean, we still hoped the whole thing, and the game just proceeded that way. You could tell. Now, look, there's lots to say about. You could talk about the offensive line. We're on our third guard, our fifth tackle. You still have what's his name? Aboye in at tackle. You had Feeney in at right guard. So and they were not perfect. You know what I mean? Like they did a pretty good job considering. Still not as bad as the offensive lines that Sam Darnold had. Truth. Yeah. That's the truth.
Absolutely.
But they had their issues, and you had some drop passes. Obviously, the one to DENZEL MIMS could have kept the drive alive. We don't know what would have happened if that happens, right? So there were other things, but you could still. It's really on Zach. There was so much.
There was 8 or 9 guys in that box at all time. Belichick was saying, "Go ahead, beat. I don't think you can do it." And guess what? He run blitz. He pulled off. Runs in his run fits. He run blitz every time. Saying, all right, we're going to plug it. We're going to put a body in every hole. Doesn't matter if your line is better than ours, but we got a body in every hole. It's going to be hard for you guys to run. I'm daring you to beat Meaty, and Zach couldn't do it.
I'm
not going to say Zach couldn't do it. The offense couldn't do it.
Yeah, the offense couldn't do it. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, and the sad part about it is there were numerous opportunities. It wasn't like they took it all away. They took away that stuff that you're saying, that we kind of our bread and butter. They said, no, we're taking that away. All of our resources are going to taking that away. And the offense led by Zach Wilson, we just could not take what was there. And it was there. It was there. That's the sad part. Crispy, what's up, buddy? Thank you for the super chat. He says, over under on how many times the camera pans to Zach during this game. You're nailing it, bro. I would say a realistic over under for how many times they show Zach Wilson's face during that game is probably 10.
I wonder if he's even going to be on the sideline.
They might put him in the booth, what they did with Mike LaFleur during the preseason. Remember that?
What? I would love that. I think that would be wonderful. I think it'd be great for him. But, if push comes to shove, and he's not up in the booth, he might not just be on he might be in the locker room. He might be in a suite or something like that. I don't think he might not even be on the sideline.
Well, because he's not active.
He's not active.
So that's actually interesting. Crispy. Your point is valid. They're going to feast upon that. They're going to try to catch anytime if he makes a face, anything. He could have agita, he could have gas, and they're going to show that face and go, "Oh, Zach Wilson wasn't happy with that." They're gonna do that for sure. But I think Dom's got a good point. Just like when Elijah Moore, when he wasn't active, he wasn't there. He's gone. He's out. He's away. And I think that could help the team. Part of this is removing the distraction, right?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I don't think he can be on the field. If I'm not mistaken, he can warm up and he can be at the game. He'll warm up, but I don't know if he'll be on the sideline. We haven't seen Bryce Hall. Oh my God. Yeah, we haven't seen him on the sideline at all.
No, he's been on the sideline. I've seen him on the sideline. Yeah, I saw Bryce Hall on the sideline. Truth is, I don't really know. I honestly don't know if there's like a limit or something like that. I just know that they can't dress. I know that. Injured reserve, you can't be. But I don't know. That's something we should look into that. Maybe somebody knows. It's just one of those little things. I'm not sure. But I have seen Bryce Hall on the sideline. I believe I have. I saw him. He was really like happy and amped up and like doing something with the cornerback. So I saw he was wearing a white sweater or something. I don't know. So hey, real quick, I see the other super chats. We'll get right to that. Egerton, you're up next. But I saw this comment that I want to just bring it up here. And I think this is a valid point. And Raul Barrios says the mistake the Jets did was giving him the reins too soon. A rookie quarterback should get half a year and acclimate. See, now, Raul, I don't know how old you are, but a guy like myself, I come from an era when that was standard. Putting a guy in his rookie year game one was actually considered quite risky. It's not that it never happened. It did, but it was risky. You wanted your guy to groom. You wanted to have him the truth is in today's NFL with the contracts and everything, with the rookie contracts, and then you add to it the second overall pick. It's sad to say, it's just the way it is. The expectations are, if you're going to use that high of a resource, that high of a draft pick on a quarter, he's got to be able to come in. And not for nothing, even if he does, like, you'll give him a rough rookie year, but he's got to show something. The good news is Zach did show something. The last 5 games of the season, he looked like a different quarterback. Now, he wasn't blowing our doors off or anything, but he completely removed the turnovers. He looked calm. He looked poised. He was able to get some really good games going. The Tampa Bay game in particular was fun. So, he looked good in the Texans game, the second half. And he looked really good. So as far as progress is concerned. So I think I agree with you, but I do think it's not real anymore. Like, you see what's going on in San Francisco. They traded 3 firsts and a third to grab Trey Lance, and fucking Jimmy G he's great. You know what I mean? He's looking fantastic. And so I don't know what they have a scenario. They have a situation over there. I don't know what it is. Maybe
the situation is crystal clear, Bean. Jimmy G has a clause in his contract where he cannot be franchised. So the situation is Jimmy G is going to get to choose where he plays.
Yeah.
And at this, point of his career, what's he going to be 29, 30 years old? probably got one more good contract.
One more.
And he's going to go to the highest bidder. You can't tell me any different.
Yeah.
That's what I
well, that's just, yeah. So the situation then is on the Niners.
Yeah.
Like, you got a guy, he's more than likely bringing them to the playoffs. Who knows how far they go? And what do you do? I mean, do you really just let him walk for the kid? I mean, dude, you gave 3 firsts and a 3rd round pick for him.
Yeah.
Can you keep him on the back burner some more and just give Jimmy G a 3-year contract for, $70 million? Can you do that?
I don't think you can. The only thing I think they can hope for, and I wouldn't hope for this, is that the ankle injury that he had takes a little bit longer to heal.
A little bit longer. Right? He's just not ready. Yeah,
he's not ready.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. We want him to play, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah,
but then, I don't know. You got the guys in the locker room, though, too. They all know. So you got a hand. That's touchy, man. It's a touchy one. Egerton.
Okay,
go on, but go ahead, please. Finish that.
I was going to just touch on that last chat about Zach playing too early. You got to remember, take it in perspective. I think everyone in the building and every fan of the Jets last year knew exactly what last year was going to be, right? It was going to be it was going to be really year one of this rebuild. We're going to be bad. We're going to take our lumps, but we're going to get these new young guys in there and get them acclimated to the NFL football. I mean, we played an insane amount of rookies last year, Zach included, right? All these guys, they had no expectation that they were going to be anything good. This was all a matter of learning. So on top of that, if Zach was going to sit behind somebody, who was he going to sit behind last year? It wasn't going to be Flacco because we traded for Flacco halfway through the year.
Yeah.
Right.
So 6th-round pick. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. There wasn't anybody there that he was going to sit and learn behind. Could they have brought somebody in and had a bridge veteran there for a year? Yeah, but for what?
Yeah. Well, look, we did have Josh Johnson on the roster the whole season. I mean, we let him go later in the season, but he was there. I'm with you. Your point is valid, but like, technically speaking, we did have a vet quarterback. Now, he was on the practice squad, so he wasn't suiting up for games. He wasn't on the field or on the sideline, but he was there. And Josh Johnson, I mean, you want to talk about a guy who's been around, you know what I mean? I mean, he played 14 teams and the whole thing. And then look, he came in, he threw for 350 or whatever the hell it was. And then he ended up being the Ravens starting quarterback at the end of the year. Craziness. But yeah, I hear you. It's just, look, they brought John Beck in later, but there's a lot there. And I see a comment here, talking about Dong Hung Lo. He's talking about Burrow. Look, Burrow went to the Super Bowl his 2nd year. And look, Herbert looked fantastic. It happens, right? But I think really when you look at this stuff, generally speaking, you're going to see, progress or progression, guys coming in and being that good. It's not really, you know what I mean? It's not the norm.
On Twitter, maybe it was Nania, posted something the other day, and it was just a list. And it goes back maybe, 10 years or so of all the quarterbacks taken within the top 5 picks. And there's 15 of them. And I went down in my own assessment, said, okay, this one was a hit, this one was a miss, so on and so forth. 4 hits.
4 hits out of 15?
4 hits out of 15 guys taken within the top 5 of
Think
the
about
draft.
that.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And think about it. Like, when the team picked them you used a top 5 pick, you think you got a damn good shot of him being something.
That's
and
right.
Look, 4 out of 15 made it, and the other, what is that, 11?
Yeah.
11 didn't.
Good
Jesus, Christmas. Wow. Egerton, sorry about the delay, Egerton. Thank you for the super chat. He says, do you think that the owner of a $3 billion New York Jets sport team has input into who the face of the franchise is? Does the GM have free reign? Now, obviously, the owner can be as big or as little of a presence as they want to be. That said, I honestly believe that Woody and Christopher Johnson have given Joe Douglas full reign. They just had their last 10 years of running the team themselves. Like, they had their fingers in all the pots, and it was a complete mess. They hired, fired, they did everything.
Yeah.
And they even did that stupid hierarchy, which was the coach and the GM are on the same level and they both report up. That it can't work. I mean, yes, there's one or two out there that it's like that. It's just, especially when your owner just doesn't know shit about the actual game of football. I honestly believe that while Woody will give his opinion, I don't think he makes one decision. I don't think he does. I think he knows. He knows better.
And I think I think that was, it might not be negotiated in language of the contract, but I'm sure that was part of it to bring Joe Douglas on. Saying, listen, because there's a lot of weird things about bringing Joe Douglas on. When they did it, they didn't.
Right.
It's kind of like after the draft, so on and so forth.
Yep.
You gave him 6 years right off the bat, which is an odd number. And they probably said, Joe Douglas said, listen, if I'm going to come do this, you got to let me do it my way.
That's right. I'm not coming because look, Joe Douglas was the next man up. He had already been requested. Teams had already requested to interview him, and the Eagles denied them. So I think this one was the Saints. I believe it was the Saints, and I feel like there was another one. Either way, I know it's at least one team was already interested in him, and he was widely regarded as like the next name in the GM world, right?
Yeah.
So he knew that this is his big chance. He worked 15 years to get here. He's got an opportunity, and he's not going to he doesn't need to just take. It's like Idzik. He was like, this is my only shot of ever being a GM. Yeah, of course. I'll do whatever I'll take Rex. Who gives a shit? Joe Douglas and remember, it took longer than we thought it would to sign him because of stuff like that. Like Joe Douglas, I'm telling, just like Dom said, he put down exactly what he needed to see. If they didn't do it, then fuck you. Keep your shitty franchise. I'll go to the Bears. I'll go to whoever's, the Saints. I'll go to whoever the hell's next. I'm not going to, he doesn't have to come in here. He was negotiating from a position of power, and he had everything that he wanted. And just like Dom alluded to, I guarantee that he negotiated. He has final say on the roster. He cannot be overruled.
Absolutely.
Yep. Now that first year, Adam Gase and him were on the same level. So while Gase was there, there was some whatever they had then. But once Gase was gone, and remember, they officially made Joe Douglas above the coach. Right after they got rid of Gase, they put the kibosh on that weird hierarchy where the coach and the GM are at the same level. So they did away with. Once they did that, Joe Douglas is the king. Joe Douglas has controlled his team, and on top of that, he's done more than enough to warrant that.
No,
they know what they have.
That's a good subject there. Now, I agree with you. But again, you hear some of the grumblings. If you have an ear to the street of social media, people will take things and run with it. And today's fiasco on Twitter, I heard that Joe Douglas should lose his job if Zach isn't, if he misses on the quarterback, he's not going to get a second chance.
No, I think that's silly.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's the most asinine thing based on, so many other factors. Look what he's done. Look at the talent, look at the team that was void of talent, 3 years ago to where we are now. You're going to miss. And I'm not, listen, I'm not even saying, I'm not justifying it, or I'm not happy that it happened, but the reality is that it happened, right? 15 of the past quarterbacks that were picked in the top 5, 11 of them suck, or borderline suck,
Right.
And so you're every pick is not going to be hit a home run. Now, right. It's a shame. That's jet luck that the one that doesn't hit a home run is the freaking quarterback, which we get since
you'd much rather it be, a linebacker.
If he missed on Michael Clemens, I would have been fine.
Right. Yeah, but even like in the first, like, look, you take, even look like Becton, that sucks too. It's a left tackle, and we don't know what it's going to be, but he's not looking good either, right? So you got like his first 2 first-round picks, but then they're followed by AVT, who's a stud. Now he's injured. Yeah, that shit happens. You can't, that is what it is. But then you have Sauce Gardner, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Jermaine Johnson, and then you look at his ability to find talent after that round.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, and look at his trades.
Michael Carter, Max Mitchell, Michael Clemens, they're all 4th-round picks, guys. 4th-round picks.
Yeah, dude, Michael Carter II is a 6th.
Yeah.
He's starting nickel, our slot corner, and he is among the best in the NFL. He's a 6th-round pick, guys. And then you look, like, you add to that he not only did he build, but dude, he had to get rid of the Leos, the Le'Veon Bells, the Kelechi Osemiles, all the other, what the fuck's his name? The cornerback, the guy from the Rays sucked.
Oh my God, I can't think of his name either.
Why can't I think of his name?
Yeah,
I can't think of his name.
Johnson.
Tremaine. There it is. Tremaine Johnson. Like, he had to get rid of those. Don't forget, this was the first year in Joe Douglas's tenure that he didn't have all that dead. Dude, he just got rid of Quincy Enunwa's money this year.
Yeah.
So that we have to listen. So he undid all that. And then you look at the contracts. He has not signed one contract that's an albatross that, like, traps us later. Not one. Look at the trades he makes. He always comes out on top. It's amazing what he's done.
Yeah.
And he's widely respected around the NFL. He's not looked at like a joke. Like, the Jets were looked at, dude, people leveraged us. That's what they did. Matter of fact, the only rumor about us being leveraged was that Joe Douglas leveraged with the Chiefs so to make Miami pay more. I mean, that rumor came out from certain writers. They said Joe Douglas, at bare minimum, like, what he was trying to do is make sure that Miami, if they got him, was let. I don't know how true that is, but that's the kind of stuff that's rumored now. Whereas before, you look at one example was Kirk Cousins. I mean, Kirk Cousins literally said, and the Jets offered him $90 million guaranteed. And he used that to get the Vikings to pay me. He said he was never coming to the Jets. He's actually said that.
Yeah.
So Hank, thank you, Hank. Appreciate it. He says, maybe New York is just not a market for young quarterbacks. Veterans like Fitz or even McCown did okay here, given their talent. Maybe we just need a vet and groom it. And look, you can add to that Testaverde, right? You could. And then even like one of the young guys that did well, Chad Pennington didn't start till his 3rd year, I think it was.
Yeah.
And that's because Vinny got hurt. Then the big debate was when Vinny got healthy, should you bench Chad? And that was the debate of the era online. I mean, that was before Twitter. But let me tell you, the Jets message boards, that was the war. The Vinny versus the Chads. And then below that, you had the Lamont Jordans versus the Curtis Martins. So that was the war for the ages. But yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I don't think that you have to like succumb to that idea, Hank, like that you can't get a good rookie quarterback, to succeed here. But I definitely think that it's a valid consideration. I mean, you got to consider that. Maybe even give them a little bit more rope. And I think they would have given Zach more rope if this team wasn't as good as it is this year. Sure. I really do.
Sure. Or you know what? And just say Zach doesn't throw for 77 yards. Say he hits MIMS on that one touchdown and and they win that game. Are we having this conversation? Is Mike White starting the game? You know what I mean?
Think about that. Like, that's the truth. Like, if he just airmailed that one bomb touchdown to MIMS.
We're back in it. This week we're saying, oh, well, Zach's got to play better, but a win's a win. That's exactly
right. And he knows how to show up when you need him and all those kinds of things. We'd be talking about all that stuff. He does enough. He gives you enough. And I mean, that's how, that also shows you, Dom, just how realistic and close and like a fine line this loss and victory really was.
Sure.
It was one play all day long away. And the Patriots are not good, in my opinion. They're not terrible, but they're not the Patriots of old, dude. They're not. And we have a better team. Now, just real quick, Matt, I see this comment. He says, why did that Patriots fan curse you out on Matt's show? Who is that guy? Why does he hate you? I did. You know what the funny thing is, Matt? I honestly don't know. I think that he was in a chat one time on the panel and he was talking shit. And I said, screw that guy. His team sucks or something. I probably said something like that. Honest to God, I don't know. But, and I was going to, my intention was to let him, we didn't know that he was coming on, Matt and I. So Ryan just kind of, I don't think he did it on purpose, but he didn't remember to tell us. So when he came on, we were kind of like, man, we got to endure this. But my intention was just to let him, Ryan said he was going to give him 4 minutes. My intention was, all right, let him talk his stupid shit. But he went right at me. You know what I mean? So when that happened, I just kind of like woke up and I was like, what? Like, screw this. I'm not, no way, dude. Like, there's no way. So I don't even know what that was. All I know is fuck that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's all I know. He tagged me in something this week too, right before he's lost, of course. He's very quiet right now. Very, very quiet.
Yeah, I think he's one of the regulars on Richie's AFC Roundtable.
Yeah, right. That's what I learned. So he does that AFC Roundtable and everything. But dude, you know what? Like, I don't give a shit. Like, it's one thing if you have a relationship with guys or whatever, you can bust balls and everything. But like, one of the things you don't do is, like, when a game is that painful, you don't rub it. Like, you don't rub salt in the wound, from my opinion. Now, and expect it not to get that way. So that's just me. It is what it is. Now, I don't, like I said, I apologized. I didn't really want to do that on Ryan's channel. But again, I literally was incapable of doing it. I couldn't listen to him. I couldn't. So I don't know if you even saw that, Dom, but
no, you know what? I didn't, but I did hear about it. And I just happen to know who the guy was.
Yeah, my wife is funny. My wife actually every now and then she'll check into the streams, and she caught that, like, the tail end of that. She's like, why are you what's going on? Why are you fighting? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't even know. I'm just fucking yelling and screaming like the old days. Mr. D checking in. Thank you, buddy. He says, can't score, can't win. Zach needs practice. Yeah, I mean, look, I think Salah, like we're talking about, man, I really do believe this. I think Salah's doing the right thing. Now, it's a bummer. I don't think any of us really wanted our young second-year quarterback who happens to be 5-2. Nobody wanted to see him decline to this degree and be benched. I mean, is that a fair point, Don? I don't think anybody was rooting for that.
No one wants it. It's not ideal, but I think it's a testament to the set. I got an echo here. I don't know if it's my mic. Let me fix that. The set of balls that Salah showed by making that decision. You know, not one person, no matter what your draft, the draft capital used on you, is better than the greater sum of the whole. Right. That's a tough decision. I don't care who, what you say. So, he shows that he's a true leader. He's got the moxie, Robert Saleh. And it's a testament, again, stemming back to the JD conversation that we had. I don't think anyone expected us to be really as relevant as we are this year. There's fans and all of us, really, I wanted us to be at week 12 in the playoff hunt, so on and so forth. But if I'm speaking honestly, like, you know what, I would have been happy with 7 or 8 wins, and I would have called it a success.
Totally. But once we had 6 that early, then 7, 8 wins is a failure.
That's right.
Like, because then it's indicative of a complete collapse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I think, that being said, they're you got to strike while the iron's hot. Right? Because as good as our defense is playing right now, and I said this with Jeremy on Wednesday on Jeremy's show, like, there's no guarantee whatsoever that you can expect this defense to be playing as well as a cohesive unit next year when you hope to get the quarterback right. That, like, you hear it a lot, like, oh, next year we'll get the quarterback right as well. Yeah. It's not going to be the same guys. The guys are a year older. You don't know who's going to be injured and who's going to be healthy and so on and so forth.
CJ Mosley might be gone. A whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing.
You have this thing that's working right now. You have to capitalize on it. So that's, if nothing more, I think those 2 reasons, because Salah laid down the law and said, hey, listen, I'm not letting 52 other guys down, not to be wrong or hurt one guy's feeling.
That's right. And just because we did use a second overall pick on him, like, you can't be in that prison cell, man. You can't. Now, real quick, I see Mr. D, you're saying I skipped your super chat. That's because I didn't get there yet, buddy. So that's all it is. I know we're kind of, look, I'm wordy, Dom's a little wordy, so it's taking a minute. I apologize. Sorry that you felt that way, but I just didn't get there. I go down the line. Okay. I'll get through a few real quick, because I really do appreciate you guys, man. I'm happy to be here with you guys, and honestly, like, it helps a great deal, and it's very much appreciated when you guys consider a super chat. So thank you. Chris says he'd be kissed. Now, just so you know, he did correct it here. He said pissed. So we got you, Chris. I see it. He'd be pissed if he saw Zach sitting up in a box with no headset on, like he did the first few games. Got to be with LaFleur or on the sideline. Wasn't he with LaFleur though? I thought that they showed him in there with, maybe he didn't have the headset, but I thought he was kind of up there to get a feel of how the offense is being called and all that kind of stuff.
I don't think he did. Chris is right. He was in a box or a suite, but I think he was in and out, and they panned in on him when he was in there, so on and so forth.
Yeah. You know what though, Chris, I agree with you, right? Like, no matter what it is, you want him to be like maximizing the time, right? But I honestly believe this week, you know what might be best for him? Just stay home. Yep. Just put on some sweatpants, some fuzzy socks, get yourself a pizza, you know what I mean, or whatever, and just sit on the couch. Just relax. Now, it's going to be hard for him. It'd be very difficult to just do that, but I think removing him for a minute might actually be what he needs, Yeah. So let me make sure I don't skip any here. You guys are awesome, man. Such great comments. I see M. Morris. You keep bringing up the Browns scoring 30 points. I mean, I've seen it probably 4 or 5 times. I'm not sure what that means or what you're doing there. But if you really want to talk, put it in there again. If you maybe explain what that is, put some stars on it or something so I see it. Yeah, I mean, you seem like you really want to say that, so I'd love to see why. Now, you got me curious, buddy. And Morris, you piqued my interest. So let me see. Jason Edwards, thank you for the super chat, Jason. He says, late to the chat, most of our fan base has a serious case of PTSD. However, these chats allow me to be live when I'm in a bar defending our Jets. God bless JD. Yeah, well, dude, I'll tell you what. This whole dynamic, like YouTube, the chats, the live streams, I couldn't be more grateful for it, honestly.
Right.
And not on just this end. Like, I'm all the time, like, I put on Jake or I put on Matt, like I'm doing work around the house or something. I'll put them on, and every now and then I'll check in and talk a little bit. Like, I couldn't love this more. It's so much better than being dependent upon like the articles of the beat. And they put one out, every 2 days, whatever the fuck it is. This is so much better. Like, not only hearing like a guy like Jake or even myself or whoever, Ryan, but it's also hearing you guys, like seeing the chat and what you guys are talking about. I couldn't love it more, Dom. Honestly, I think it's the best.
And I think it helps you become so much more of a better like student of the game. You know what I mean? Like you really find the ins and outs of your team. If in our case, all of our cases, the Jets, by listening to guys like GreenBean and Jake and every other of the guys who give us their time and putting this content out there, man. It's you really get to learn. You become that much more kind of involved in it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and look, not for nothing, like you guys know, I mean, I fancy myself pretty good at like accepting when I'm incorrect and like kind of grand, like, honoring it and say, oh, you know what? I didn't know that. Like, I learn a lot from you guys in the chat. Like, sometimes I'm off or I remember something wrong, or maybe I think something. You guys are, I mean, dude, we got, even right now on just an impromptu Friday night, we got 213 people in here right now. There's a lot of brains in there. Now 214. Somebody, hey, whoever just jumped in. Hello. We're waiting for you. Now we can get into the stream.
Before you get into the next super chat, I found that list of the quarterbacks taken in the top
Ooh, can you share it? Do you know how to do that?
5. Yeah.
All right, let me do it. So real quick,
Well,
and Jason, just on the, I do agree though that we have PTSD. This fan base is downright traumatized. Like it's not fake. Like, look, even Thanksgiving, what did we see? It has nothing to do with us. We're quiet. We got a good team. And what do they bring up? Oh, it's the 10-year anniversary of the butt fumble. We got to watch that shit. You know what I mean? Like, dude, there's no other fan base that deals with what we deal with. Yes, teams suck. Yes, teams have bad years. Yes, teams are like the Lions or the Browns. Like they have, you know, they've been perpetually struggling as well. But dude, let's be real here. They don't have one butt fumble. They don't have one time that their quarterback got his jaw broken in his own damn locker room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And on and on. They don't have a head coach who quits on a napkin the day he's getting announced to be our head coach. Then we hire the linebackers coach underneath him. He has a 9-7 year and then quits to go coach a college team. Like, nobody has this stuff. That's us.
Their quarterbacks don't eat hot dogs during the game on the sideline.
Right. And same quarterback literally got caught on camera picking his nose and wiping it on his backup quarterback, Brunell. Like, nobody has this, dude. It's us. We have this. So, Jason, I'm with you. Can you share that real fast?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead. So let's like Dom was talking about a list of the last however many years of the quarterbacks that were taken in the top 5 picks of the NFL draft.
So can you see this? I mean, this is literally just a list. I just want to make sure you listen.
So can you expand it and make it like bigger? It's very hard to read. It's just really small. You know, like on my keypad, I just go boop.
I don't know how to do it. I know how to expand it. I mean, it's
okay. Yeah, no, that was good. So if you could just go there and then find where it is, like move the page over. Yep. Now scroll down. Yeah, okay. Oh, much better. Much better.
So I'm going to go back 10 years. Okay. So we're in 2022. We'll go back to 2012. Okay. So you got 2 of them here, right? So you start with Andrew Luck. I'd say he's a hit, right? Robert Griffin, I'd say that's a miss. So right now we're 1-1. 2013, there was no quarterbacks taken in the top 5. 2014, you got Blake Bortles. Big miss.
Right.
So that's we're 1-2 here. 2015, you got Winston and Mariota. You know, if you make an argument for Jameis Winston, but I'm not going to say he's a hit.
No, you can make an argument. He's still got some meat on the bone too. I mean, look at even 2 years ago, like, you know, his last year in Tampa, what he had 33 touchdowns and 33 interceptions.
33 interceptions, exactly.
Yeah. So, but I mean, Mariota he's a waste of space. I mean, he's done.
We're 1 hit and 4 misses so far. 2016, Jared Goff. Again, very, very mid, if you ask me. Nothing special. You know, I'm not gonna say he's franchise. Now, some might make an argument because I believe Goff did win a Super Bowl, did he not?
Yeah.
You know, so you might be able to make an argument there. He earned himself a $25 million contract, so on and so forth. I guess you could put him in the middle. Next, 2017, Mitch Trubisky, miss. And look at that name right under that. Patrick
I know. Look, I know. So crazy, dude.
And then 2018, you got Baker Mayfield, miss. Sam Darnold, miss. Josh Allen, but he's out of the top 5. Then you got Kyler Murray, still yet to be determined, right? But leaning more, you know, probably, you know, I'll count him as a franchise quarterback. I think that's fair. But Baker and Sam, definitely not.
No.
So far we got what? Kyler and we have Andrew Luck, right? So that's 2.
Crazy.
2 that hit. 20, Joe Burrow and Tua. I think you can argue that both of those guys are probably franchise quarterbacks.
Yeah. They're looking like they are.
4 and 10 right now. And then you have Trevor, Zach, and Trey Lance. And the arguments, you can't call any of those franchise quarterbacks yet. So the odds that these guys hit more so or miss more so than than hit is tremendous.
Right. So that's the thing. So when we talk about whether or not Joe Douglas should be tied to one pick, even though it was an important pick, and you really want to try your best to make that one out of all of them work.
Yeah.
But that's why he's not tied to that. Now, if the rest of his drafts were Mike McCagnon-esque and he's blowing it all over the place, maybe he's got a Fadukasi in the fucking 6th round and somebody like, so a couple backups and stuff like that, then yes, then that's some very glaring that he blew it with the quarterback. But Joe Douglas has done a stellar job with his misses. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's realistic to think that he's under any sort of microscope or on any type of hot seat, no matter what happens to Zach. Jets Unleashed. He says, "Don't worry, GreenBean or Great Bean." I like that even better. Don't worry, Great Bean. I'll get him back on Wednesday. Oh, so you're on. Okay, good. Yeah, man. Sick the Lions on that guy. I should watch it this week. I should go in there and overturn the apple cart. I love Richie. I mean, Richie's a buddy of mine. I couldn't love Richie more. But I wouldn't want to piss on his cornflakes. At the same time, I might go in there for 20 minutes and poke around just to kind of remind him that his team lost, especially if we win. Say, look, it's all for nothing, buddy. Look at you. Bye down there. Anyway, we'll see. Let's see. What's this one? Dude, GreenBean, he was such a Boston jackass. Oh, yeah. So, all right. Yeah. See, I know you guys. Look, truth be told, I've seen a couple clips of that round table. I not that I have any sort of thing. I've never gotten the chance to watch it. I don't. As much as I do check in on Richie's channel from time to time, I've never seen it. So I don't even know who that guy is. Like Master Blaster or some shit like that.
Master at Work, I believe.
Master at Work. That's right. Jason Edwards says that guy was a tool on Tuesday. Yeah. See, you guys are the best. Thanks for the support, guys. I love it. Let me see if we got anybody. Okay. So listen, I want to talk about something else. This is already half hour longer than I thought it was going to be. So let's spend another few minutes, 15 minutes or so. And let's talk about the big news. Now, the other day, we were wondering why the Jets cut Marcel Harris. It's kind of out of nowhere. We're wondering who's going to take the roster spot. So what's going to happen? Who's going to take this place? Now, you'd think if they're going to get rid of a linebacker, maybe, you got to think they need to make sure that that's at least shored up. Clearly, they like Jamie and Sherwood. And then I think you were mentioning, maybe it wasn't you, Will Parks. Maybe that was Frankie, maybe you. But Will Parks can kind of fill in an emergency role and all that. But it seems that it might end up being Denzel MIMS, Tom. Saleh came out today, I think it was, and he said Denzel MIMS will remain active even though we're getting Corey Davis back. He said he's earned a role. So he earned the spot is how he said it. So even though, look, now I'm going to show you guys something here. And I'm going to go. And I'm just so you guys know, when I try to tell you guys, I'm as objective as I can be. You guys know what side I'm on with the Denzel MIMS debate. You guys know this. We don't have to go over it. But I'm going to show you some things, some metrics, okay? So look, now I can tell you why it is that I like Denzel MIMS, right? So his rookie year, this is 2020. All right. His rookie year, he comes out, he plays 9 games, of 8 of which he started. He gets 23 receptions for 357, 15.5 yard average. His long was 30 yards, 52% catch percentage, and he had no touchdowns, as we know, right? But where's the one I'm looking at? All right. So the next year, obviously, was the bad year, right? We had 8 catches for 133 yards and the whole thing. Well, let's go down here and take a look at these, Tom. Now, you guys, I want you to see this stuff. There's a very important stat that I want to show you guys. Now, the drop percentage, dropped passes per target, okay? Now, this is what's interesting. Now, if you want to get into what the league average is. Now, I don't know the average, but generally speaking, anywhere between 3 and 6% is pretty standard, right? It's considered expected. well, really like 4 to 6. So like a 3% and above is considered exceptional. Okay. It's among the best. Obviously below 6, but once you start getting below 10%, it's considered troubling, right? It's not what you want to see. And it could be, if that becomes a trend, then he's an untrustworthy wide receiver. Now, you can see here, Denzel Mims' drop percentage in 2020 was 2.3%, which is exceptional, among the best. Now, he also didn't have the same amount of targets as some of the starters and all that stuff. So that's all to be factored in. But still, for what he was able to do out there, his drop percentage was 2.3%. Now, last year it went up to 8.7%, and he caught a lot of flack for this, right? So, and I think rightfully so to some degree, but I think it was way overblown. And I thought the Jets' response to what he did was also a little bit extreme, and I didn't like it, right? So we know about this. But it was 8.7. Again, that's getting to the point where you start to be concerned. It wasn't all that much. I think the problem with that is he only had, where is it? He only had 23 targets, 8 receptions. So like when it's that low of a number, that's when these percentages really become more glaring. But look at this year, Dom. So he has 6 receptions on 15 targets for $127. His long is that 64-yarder. His average, let's see here, is yak or 63 yards. As we know, it's he had that one really big play. But look at this, Dom. He has 20% drop percentage, which is abysmal, right? Like if this was a trend, if a guy ends the year, let's say he plays most games, 10, 12 games, and he has a 20% drop percentage, you're literally looking for a replacement, right? That's how bad it is. That said, Mims's particular drop percentage is weird and skewed because the drop percentage, once a hand touches it, Dom, they consider it a drop.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I mean, I can picture 2 of his drops right now where he's jumping as high as he can, and he's 6 foot, 6 foot 14 for Christ's sakes, and the ball's completely overthrown. So very subjective. It's skewed. I mean, bad quarterback play might cause you to have that much more of a drop percentage if your fingers touching the ball and you're getting dinged for it.
Yeah. And then look, right. So all numbers, as we know, all these stats, like I've shared with you guys a million times, I like to talk about the story behind the stacks. The outside of the box score is kind of my thing. When you look at stats, you can think something, but it's not always the case. It's not necessarily true. That said, I don't want to put too much sugar on Denzel Mims because, he's had some issues. But this is what my point is. He's credited with 3 drops, like Dom said, 2 of which were very questionable. Like the one was down the sideline. That bomb, he dove and he got his hand on, his hands on it. It was an extremely difficult catch. In my opinion, I still would have liked to see him catch it. I think he could have, but that's a very difficult one. And then the other one is the one you're referencing when he had to completely jump as high as he could. And he got hit while doing that too. So like those are weird things. Like, should he have caught it? Maybe. Right. And you would love to think you have a receiver that can do that in those situations. The other drop was all him and it was bullshit. It was terrible. But that all said, he's got 3 drops. And the point is, Saleh, even with those drops, the fact that they now benched Zach, they could be looking at the Denzel Mims thing and saying, like, those drops are not on him.
Yeah.
The guys played lights out. Like so his first game was a Denver game. We know about the block, which broke Breece Hall. He's one of like 3 or 4 key blocks that broke for Breece Hall for his last touchdown this year. Beautiful, beautiful run. But since then, he's had just so many key blocks in the run game and in the passing game, by the way. He's really been stellar. And in addition to that, like you look at the drop, or the drops. Even last week, he had that one play that they were calling a back shoulder. It wasn't a back shoulder. It was a duck, a pass that floated in the air that he came back for, ended up being, I think it was a 34-yarder. Great catch, great adjustment, all that sort of stuff. So he's doing that sort of stuff too. And the interesting thing is they just let Marcel Harris go. Now, this is a solid guy. Marcel Harris is a solid guy, and he was the first linebacker off the bench. So they're seeing Denzel Mims's impact as valuable enough right now to keep him active, even though the guy that he was replacing is coming back on the roster, having both of them on the field together for the running game. Like, think about Conklin, Uzoma, Davis, and Mims out there. You know what I mean? As blocking for whoever, you know what I mean? Like, that's a devastating group of guys. Like, they can really bode well for the running game. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see. I got to be honest, as much as I'm a fanboy kind of for Denzel Mims, I was surprised. Like, I have to admit, I was like pleasantly, but surprised to hear that they were keeping him active. Even though Corey Davis is coming back. And now I think we know why they let Marcel Harris go, was to have this spot for Denzel Mims to be on the field. Now, I didn't see about Jeff Smith. Maybe they pushed Jeff Smith off and this is all a little bit different. But what are your thoughts about Denzel Mims? And I see a couple more super chats that just came in. I'll get to you guys in just a moment, starting with Jerry the Jet. But real quick, Dom, what do you think about this? What I'm talking about here with Denzel Mims, the drops, the fact that they're keeping him active.
I think what you said makes a ton of sense, because I said it, until the cows come home. Corey Davis and Denzel Mims might be the two best stalk blockers at the wide receiver position. They're at the top echelon of all the wide receivers in the league. They understand, like, they know their job in the run game and they execute it to a T. Now, do you want to see these guys get involved? Denzel, in this question, do you want to see him get involved more in the pass game? Sure. You would love to see it. I would love to see a little bit more of the Denzel we saw his rookie year. But listen, outside of a couple games from Garrett Wilson, this year, there hasn't been a wide receiver that's really been dominant in our offense. And I think that's, it shows the bigger picture. They're much more concentrated on, especially when Breece Hall was there, on really establishing the run, making that the, in the, front and center, what their identity is going to be. We're going to ground and pound. We're going to take it to you, and we're going to throw the ball when we have to. And that's a lot of what we saw with Breece Hall. Now, take Breece Hall out of the equation. We hoped that the level of running that we've had wouldn't take too big of a dip with Michael Carter, who's an adequate running back, and James Robinson, who we all loved, and also an adequate running back. James Robinson does a lot of what Breece Hall does, except Breece Hall does it at 4.3 speed, and James Robinson does it at 4.65. Big difference, that's big difference. Counter that with all the injuries and the all the troubles that our quarterbacks have, and we're looking at 8-9 man boxes. It's hard to establish that running game. So I'd love to see Denzel Mims get moving forward. I'd love to see our offense get moving forward, and I think we have to really take a step back and understand that Mike White is Mike White. I don't think anybody we'd be lying to ourselves if we expect Mike White to come in here and be Joe Montana. That's not what he's going to be. We just hope that he's able to do some of the little things that Zach wasn't going to be able to do. If Denzel Mims stays on the field, if Denzel Mims sees the field more, I think it's going to be a lot like you said, where he might be the wide receiver on the field when we go big personnel, 13 personnel, so on and so forth, to really get down there and crack back on the linebacker, so on and so forth. On top of that, I don't know if you've noticed it, but I have. We've seen a lot less involvement of Braxton Berrios in the offense.
Yeah, interesting.
Than we had last year for sure, and even early on this year. He's just not. It doesn't seem to be part of the schemes. And again, I think that kind of steers towards where I was going. You know, with our identity as a ground and pound kind of team. You're not going to have Braxton Berrios on the team if you want to get up there and pound the ball.
Yeah, unless they're using him as the running back or some sort of sweep or something like that.
But even those have gone away. Those little jet sweeps and those we haven't seen a lot of those. So
yeah, well, you know what that really boils down to, Dom, is that it's hard for the offense to get to those things.
That's right.
When they're stalled out. I mean, look, we punted 10 times.
Yeah.
10 times. And most of them were on 3 and outs. Even on the last drive, the only reason we got a first was because of the defensive holding. It was a gift. You know what I mean? They gave us a gift. But yeah, I mean, so it's really hard. Like you said, we aren't seeing Braxton Berrios. Obviously, we're not seeing Elijah Moore, who got a few receptions this week. It was nice to see.
Sure.
But a lot of these guys, they're just missing. And dude, a lot of that is because of the struggles that we're having at the quarterback position. And you can also add the offensive line tumult and all that stuff. There's a lot there. But if the offense can just keep going, you're going to see all that stuff come back, in my opinion. And getting the running game going first, no matter if it's Zach or Mike White, I think if the running game can be impactful, stout, if not stellar, that's going to bode really well for the quarterback, having the ability to keep, to be more comfortable and keep the drives going. And I think having Denzel Mims out there, particularly for the run game, is alongside of Corey Davis, you can't ask for much better.
No, and I think you're going to see a lot more of it. I mean, I can't imagine the game plan this week coming in with the situation with Mike White stepping in to his first start, a guy who couldn't even win the backup job to start the season. Call it what it is, coming into his first start. I can't all of a sudden see Mike LaFleur just, unhook the chains and put 4 wides out there and let them run around like it's the Warren Moon run and shoot back from the Houston Oilers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's going to be a very, very conservative offense, right?
Right.
And on top of that, Sunday is going to be there's 100% chance of rain all day long. You're going to have a wet ball, a wet field, so on and so forth. So, and possibly 2 backup quarterbacks.
Sheesh. Crazy. Running game is paramount. Running game is paramount, man. We got to get it going.
This is the get right defense to figure it out, right?
It is. Build some momentum on these guys. So Jerry the Jet says, Master of at Work has my clips on. Oh, really? He's promoting me. That's very nice. You know what they say about what do they say at I forget what they say. There's no bad publicity.
Insults are the best form of flattery.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's funny. Obsessed much? I mean, honestly, I don't even think about this. He's doing that. I quite literally, to me, Tuesday was the first time I've ever heard of him. It maybe rings a bell. Honestly, this guy did not exist to me until Tuesday, when he just looked like a complete tool to me. Maybe somebody else thinks, wow, he did such a great job. I don't know. Maybe. To me, he looked like a tool that came out of nowhere, said the same shit that every Patriots fan has been saying for the last fucking 25 years. Who cares? That's why blah, 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 blah. Same shit, dude. Be original. Who cares? So that's funny. I'm actually very happy to hear that. I hope he keeps doing it. You guys should, no, don't even go to his channel. But if you do, just write obsessed much. That's all. Somebody's obsessing. That's what you do. But that's funny. Thanks for telling me that. That's pretty awesome. Ablab, what's up, Ablab? Good to see you, buddy. He says, hey, bros, who does JD trade this offseason for a first-round pick next year? Hope your holidays are great. Well, right back at you with the holidays. Ablab, let me ponder this with you. Let me present this idea to you, and I'd like to hear what you guys think, and also Dom as well. But Ablab, listen to this. There is a line of thinking that points to the concerns about when you have too many top draft picks, that you're not going to be able to pay them all in a couple of years. So it's actually better not to have that like that in so many years with numerous first round picks and all that stuff. So doing it to like build the foundation of your team, like exactly what JD did. You know, the first year he had one first, but then he traded a whole bunch of picks. He made numerous thirds, numerous fifths, six. He did that in the back end of the draft, starting with the second round pick that he traded back. And then the next year he trades Jamal Adams. He does all that. And then so we've seen him kind of acquire assets to build this foundation the way that he wanted to. But if he continues to do that, and this is kind of where every time I hear myself talking about the 3 firsts and a third that we could have got for Zach Wilson, believe me, there's a voice in my head talking about this as well, that it might not be the best course of action. You could actually logjam yourself and create scenarios where it's actually more of a negative, right? So the way to do it is to build your foundation, get rid of as many assets as you can that you don't want, collect as many picks, build your foundation, and then having your 7, 8, 9 picks. If you you get a couple comps or something like that, going forward every year is actually the more healthy way to do it, to keep the team like you have a steady influx, which actually supports the pipeline and the time necessary for guys to actually be able to be in your system and on your roster. And obviously this is all predicated on keeping a fucking coach for more than 5 minutes too. We got to keep these guys. We got to have the same regime for 8, 10, 12 years. And then once you're doing that, actually having the 1 pick in the first round, maybe you get a year with 2 seconds, or 5 years later you do have a year with 2 firsts. Something like that is actually much healthier after the big influx that we saw Joe Douglas pull together. I mean, shit, Robert Saleh, if you include Breece Hall and Elijah Moore as like top, there were top 2, top 3 picks in the second round. If you include them, Robert Saleh in his 2 years here has 7 first-round picks. Talents, 7 in 2 years. That's what Joe Douglas has been able to do. So that said, Ablab, I'm not so sure that Joe Douglas is looking to do that.
Yeah,
I'm just not so sure that that's really the way to go right now. I think he would be more benefited by grabbing that well-placed veteran, and kind of plugging them in and letting the guys that you have on your young, the young guys, the recent draft picks, continue to develop. We have all of them for 4 or 5 more years, all of them. You know what I mean? So they're going to be here for a minute. The next couple of years, you just bring in one first, 1 second, and just slowly bolster your roster and keep it going and spread that talent over time. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be trading somebody for a first. So I could be wrong. That's just my thinking on it. Dom, what do you think about that? You have any contrary to my thinking?
I do, and I think you're spot on. I wouldn't be surprised, actually, just say we're in the 20s. It doesn't matter if we're 21 or 28. Hopefully we're 28. But just say, where we fall right now, we're in that early to mid 20 range. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if you see this is the year that Joe backs out of the first round and accumulates some, another second or another fourth, so on and so forth. Very much like you said in the who was the king of trading back and who has been the king of trading back, and you have to tip your cap a little bit. New England. New England has always, they built the foundation. They have their big money guys and the guys that they have to pay, and then instead of having to pay them, again, it's cap manipulation. Instead of locking into a guy who at 21, pick number 21, might cost you $3.85 million for 4 years with a 5th-year option that's going to cost the average of the top 15 players at their position. You might, if you have a foundation and you want to build a pipeline, well, listen, if my scouting is good and my draft picks have a tendency to hit, then I'll take the chance and have, a second, 2/3, and 2/4 as opposed to having that 1 first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think you're absolutely right. This year was an anomaly. Now, also remember, as it stands right now, we only have $7.5 million in cap space going in, right now. So going into next year, we're only at about $16 million. Now that's going to change when all the year, the contracts end and come off. But $16 million isn't, the 80 something that we've had for the past 2 years, right? So now you have to really be a little bit more cautious. I don't think maybe you go and spend and get one guy, but then everything else you got to account for a much more tighter spot. We went from here, and now we're going to go from here, and that's what all the big teams, the good teams,
that's what they do.
That's what they do. They're here, healthy. And then instead of being more top heavy, they get the cheaper contracts. They get 2 cheaper contracts with guys that they hope can develop and become what that one player in the first round is going to be. So I couldn't agree with you more. I think if it happens at all this year, now, I'm not saying that it's guaranteed, but this might be the year, especially the way that the draft as it stands right now is pairing up. Sure, it's top heavy at the quarterback position. Those guys are going to, there's 2 big names that everyone talks about, probably a third if you want to include Will Levis, but they're all going to be top 10, top 15 picks out of our range. And nor do I see us really investing a first round pick in a quarterback.
Right.
They got some tackles that are pretty decent this year, and you got some cornerbacks at the high end of it. Outside of that, the meat and potatoes of the draft of all the positions this year might not be flashy at the top, but you got a lot of meat on the bone, a lot of second, third, fourth, fifth rounders that are good players. A lot of depth.
Yeah. I'm going to be real interested. Now, we're not going to divulge. We're not going to get in there. We're not going to go too far into the drafting. But I'm going to be real interested to see where we land at the end of the year and what looks like our glaring need to use a first-round pick on. Like, look, last year I was convinced that linebacker was up near the top of their list. I just was convinced. So much so that I thought, a guy like Devin Lloyd could be a realistic option with your second first. You know what I mean? And if not, there was like 6, 7 linebackers I thought were fantastic between the second and fourth rounds. And some of the guys I thought would be high thirds were still there at our 4th round pick. I was like, holy shit. So I was convinced. I was dead wrong, clearly. They didn't even bring in, they waited till forever and brought in Quan Alexander, but overall, and Marcel Harris, but overall they did very little to the linebacker department. So you never know. And I don't know if they feel Quincy Williams looks like he's improving steadily. Quan Alexander's a guy I'd bring back if I could. CJ Mosley, you got to work out the contract.
Think of it this way. We're talking about, when the season's over, let's take a look at what we need. But Quincy, who's a starter, his contract's up.
Yep.
Marcus Joyner, who's a starter, his contract's up. Quan Alexander, who's a starter, his contract's up. Sheldon Rankins and Nathan Shepard, their contracts are up. That's just on the defensive side. Connor McGovern, his contract's up on the offensive side. So there's going to be holes that have to get filled. So you're going to have to put some bodies in there.
Right. And that's what I mean. I'm going to be real interested to see kind of where it is and what looks like. Right now, I would say maybe safety, obviously offensive line. We could, definitely use some offensive line. But it's going to be interesting. So Jason Edwards says Mims' commitment to the run blocking is amazing. I agree. However, his catch radius is also incredible.
Yeah, when he doesn't jump for the ball.
What's that?
I said when he doesn't jump for the ball, his catch
radius. What is that? That's
big until he jumps and it becomes like this.
Yeah, I don't know why he did that. And he dropped it. I don't know what that is. Again, like you guys know, I'm a big supporter of Denzel Mims, but that's not to a fault. If he sucks, he sucks. The thing is, I've seen more than enough that warrants keeping the guy out there give him a season. Like, that's what I'm saying. Let's use him and see, rather than he comes in for 5 plays, he makes a mistake and you bench him. Like, that's no way to get anybody going. And look, we've seen it with numerous. Look, we're talking about Zach right now. Granted, different position, but we see it with Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson had 1 game last year where he did worse than anything Denzel Mims has done. In 1 game, he had 3 consecutive 3rd down drops when he was wide open. 3 in a row. He killed 3 consecutive drives in 1 game. So, it's like, and they keep him out there. So I support that. Once a guy sucks, whatever it is. But I just want to see Mims get this year, see how he does. Clearly, he's doing a very good job in the run game. He's had his moments and he's had his clams in the passing game, but clearly enough to stay on the roster at least for one more week. I'm real curious to see how that goes, because obviously, I mean, the guy, what he brings to the game, if he could use it, is rare. Not many people are bringing that with us. Thomas Cahill checking in. What's up, Thomas? Good to see you. Hey, guys, what do you think about taking Hooker in the second? Well, this is it, Thomas. I want to be careful. We'll answer this one draft question, and Dom might. I don't even know.
I'll take this one.
All right, real quick.
Not a snowball shot in hell, and I'm going to tell you why. Hendon Hooker, great quarterback. He's going to be 25 years old by the time the draft comes in April. He will be 25 years old. He's a transfer from Virginia Tech to Tennessee this year. So he's a graduate transfer who has a medical red shirt because he tore his ACL when he was at Virginia Tech. And guess what he did last week, Bean? Tore the same ACL. So that alone, they and the Jets and Joe Douglas and their medical staff have shown that injury flags take guys right off the board. So even if the fact of him being a 25-year-old draftee doesn't kind of bring him down, the torn ACL that occurred last week is going to take him completely off the board. And it's a shame because he's shown great talent. He's shown that wow factor that you want to see in a quarterback, but not a chance. Not a chance. I don't think he's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. Who asked the question? Thomas Cahill. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes undrafted.
Wow, amazing. So look, we're talking. I just want to say this, Jingle Dubs. I love you. You know this. As a matter of fact, the name Jingle Dubs was created out of our love, right? You know this. He was JW for the first 2 years that we were hanging out. Jingle Dubs. You cannot possibly say that, because we've seen Sam Darnold against the Patriots. Sam Darnold's last game against the Patriots was the Ghosts game. I mean, he threw for 85 yards. So, we can't say that, man. Now, there's an argument to be made that Sam Darnold never had what Zach Wilson has. And that's even just the offensive line. Even with its holes, it's still performing better than just about anything Sam Darnold had. In addition to that, Sam Darnold never had Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, Michael Carter, and then, Breece Hall, but even James Robinson, Tyler Conklin, CJ Uzoma, Ruckert on the bench. He's never, Barrios, he never had that collection of talent. Now he would have a Crowder, and then Crowder would get hurt, and Mims would come in, then Mims would get hurt, and Perryman would come in. And obviously he had Robbie Anderson, but you could make a case, I guess, but I think if you just look at what Sam Darnold did on the field for us, particularly against the Patriots, it's real hard to support that argument, buddy.
Yeah.
It's real hard. Really, really hard. Let's see what else we got here. My Holy King, I want you to know that I agree with you wholeheartedly. But I think that's going to about do it, guys. We talked about Zach. We talked about Mike White. We talked about Denzel Mims. And we even talked a little bit of draft, a little tiny bit, just a little bit. Dom, if I had to put a gun to your head and you had to be right, your life depends on it. Give me a prediction, including the final score, the New York Jets versus the Chicago Bears. Everybody quickly put your predictions in the chat. Let's see what we got. But first, we'll go to Dom. What do you got?
If I had to be right, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that we're going to not see, which is very good for us, I think. We're not going to see Justin Fields play the game. So it's going to be Mike White against Trevor Siemian. I think we're going to see an ugly game, which we have become accustomed to. I think the rain's going to play a factor. I think you're going to have two very, very hesitant yet conservative offenses going. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's another defensive battle, which is why I'm going to go ahead and have the Jets win in 14-6.
14-6. Wow, low. Grind it out kind of game. So Dom says the Jets beat the Bears 14-6 We know what the coin flip says, right? The coin flip says this will be a Jets loss and the last Jets loss for quite a while. I think he has 4 or 5 in a row.
Yeah,
after this.
The coin flip loss. The coin flip guy has us losing this one, and then Miami week 18.
That's it.
That's it. Well, and then the championship game.
Yeah, right. And now look, if there was some sort of weird guarantee that could happen, I would take it.
I don't know if I could. I don't know if I can. My brain might not be able to handle another week.
That's what I'm saying.
Of social media if we lose to the Bears.
Yeah, I don't think that the New York Jets organization could handle coming out of the bye, losing to the Pats, benching Zach Wilson, and losing to the fucking hapless Bears. Like I don't think we could weather it. I think it's the end of our franchise. That's how bad it is. We need to win this game.
Correct.
It's important. Like Jin Pak said, every game is a playoff game from here on out. Let's see. And Jim Dandy, this is the week the coin is wrong. I'll give you mine. Brother. Yeah, Amen. That's right. Let's go through a few predictions, and then I'll give you mine. Jets best 24-10. I like that. Jets. Matt B says Jets 27, Bears 13. See, Matt B, he's defending his position all night, and I respect that. But at the end of the day, he's a Jets fan like us. He's thinking, all right, the Jets are going to win. I love that, Matt. That's good stuff. MPC 10-17.
I'm assuming you got us losing.
Yeah, you got us losing. It feels like you're putting a loss down there. It doesn't sound like you. So I'll give you some rope. But Jets Unleashed says 28-9 Jets. Thomas Cahill coming back in with a 24-3. That's going to be Jets too. My Holy King 35-21. Wow. That's an interesting one. I'd love to see that. Although I don't want to see them score 21 points on us. So. But again, I would take it. Hank says 21-13. Hey, Bradigan's here. What's up, Chris? Good to see you, buddy. Destroy the Bears. Go Jets 24-3. I love it. Hey, Braden checking in. What's up? Here comes the big Bears. 24-9. There you go, Braden. I like this. Bradigan and Braden coming in to drive it home. Jim Dandy 13-3 Jets. Hank saying, by the way, Jets. Right. Everybody, Braden too. You guys are funny. Beth Page says 13-3 Jets. Dong Hung Low 34-3 Jets. M. Morris says 13-9. Jin Pak 13-12. Jim, I don't know if I can handle that, buddy. I can't handle it. Oh my God. Mike White, Mac B. Mike White 268, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. I'd be happy with that. I would be very happy with that.
I'd be very happy with that. Yeah. I don't think he comes close to 268 though.
Yeah, I was thinking more. I'm hoping he breaks 200. I'm looking for a very conservative run-based game plan this week. That's what I'm looking for. But, hey, just get it into our playmakers' hands. Michael Carter, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson. Let them do what they do with the damn ball. That should always be the logic with this particular collection of skill guys. Just get it in their hands.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Before we end, also Chicago. You got to remember about Chicago's offense. Again, it's going to be completely different if Fields doesn't play. But when he is in there, they're not a team that's going to sustain drives, so on and so forth. They take big chunks. They score heavily on the big play. And those misdirection kind of chunk plays where they gain 30, 40 or guys, miscommunication. So if our defense can kind of weather the storm of those big chunk plays, I don't see how a Trevor Siemian led team is going to drive and David Montgomery, who's slower than GreenBean, is going to drive the ball down our throats.
Right. Yeah, I'm with that. I agree. Ablab checking back in with his prediction 27-10. That feels good to me. I'm thinking like I'll tell you guys at the end, but that's closer to what I'm thinking. Is that me or is that Dom? Did you guys lose me? Hold on. Nope, that's Dom, huh? Think it's Dom. Let me get him off here and see. Are we still here? Tell me. I'm going to go to the bot. It's Dom. Okay, thank you. Let me see a few more predictions here. All right, that's Dom. That's okay. You made it to the end. Let's see. Ronald Perry said 28-14. There's Ablab. Okay. Let's see. Mike White is an interception waiting to happen. Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if I feel the same way. I think if we make him push the ball a lot, I think he's more inclined to do that. Mike White is what he is. You know what I mean? I think he has a lot of potential. He can be a very good quarterback if our game plan is able to be upheld. That's what I think. I mean, I'm certainly not one of the Mike White, Mike F. and White guys. That's not me. I'm not deflated by Mike White coming in. But, I mean, obviously I would rather it be Zach if he wasn't playing so incredibly poorly. But I have confidence in Mike White. With don't forget, this is a whole different team than he had last year. A whole different batch of fellas. Okay? Well, they kind of are. I mean, they're surging right now, but they have a lot of holes, man, and you can totally take advantage of it. And my point was what Don was just saying, the likelihood that Justin Fields won't play. That's what I'm saying. Like Trevor Siemian coming out. Look, he's a quality backup. He's an NFL player, right? But I don't think he's scaring anybody. You know what I mean? So, I mean, look, if any team is hapless, it's them, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. The coin knew Zach was being benched. Maybe. And don't forget, Morris, that if Mike White comes out and he plays like shit and they put Zach back in 2 weeks, they feel like he's ready. Maybe that's what it is. You know what I mean? Maybe we ride Zach and he's lights out. He just needed a week or 2 weeks. It would be. He needed 2 weeks on the sideline and he comes back and he's a totally different guy. Maybe. Jeremy says 24-17 Jets. James Herr 23-17 Jets. Interesting. All right, so let's see what we got here, and we'll wrap this one up. Mumtaz, what's up, Mumtaz? Good to see you, buddy. Thank you. He said, hey, GreenBean, how come Lamar Jackson is so interested in our quarterback situation, and how does he know so much details about the locker room? Loves Mike White. Why does he even know Mike White's name? Mumtaz, come on. Number one, they asked him, so that's what they're. Of course, they're gonna try to get that stuff out. Whatever it is, Mumtaz. I think we can be pretty much in agreement that for whatever the reason is, there are a lot of people that do not like Zach Wilson. And you could see that by the way people were talking about him last year. Look at even Bart Scott and Leger Douzable. The way they were talking about him was as if they hated him as a person, right? And you see that stuff. He's a very polarizing guy. Now, again, maybe they don't like his mother's Instagram page, or maybe they don't like Mormonism. I don't know. I honestly don't. Maybe he's too good looking and they're threatened. I mean, whatever it is, it's more than just a football player to a lot of people, right? Now, I don't know how much of that makes it into the locker room, but we did have Elijah Moore ask for a trade this year, all right? And when they asked him about chemistry with Zach Wilson, he said, I don't have any chemistry with Zach. I don't get the ball. Now, he could be referencing LaFleur, and I think to some degree he is. But there are numerous plays where Elijah Moore is open, and Zach either can't hit him, he throws it into his feet, over his head, or he doesn't see him. So there's a lot of that, man. I don't know what it is. But I don't think Lamar Jackson's comments were necessarily pointed. I think he was asked a question and he said he could see it, right? I forget exactly how it went, but he said something to the effect of there were some people that felt like, that he rubbed the wrong way, a little bit cocky or whatever, something like that. And he was there all last year. You know what I mean? He was a Jet, so he knows, at least to that degree. And again, they're just looking for the story, Mumtaz. And shit. Does Lamar Jackson even start for them? I honestly don't know. I haven't kept up. I was a fan of Lamar Jackson as an undrafted free agent. I thought he was a fantastic get as an undrafted free agent, and I thought he did some nice things. Very developmental. So I don't know what he's doing over there, but a lot of times, this is the only chance to get in front of the cameras. You're gonna take it. A little story. They start talking about you, could increase your value. Who knows? You know how that goes. That said, fuck him. Right, Mumtaz? Right where he eats his eggs, buddy. Fucking right where he eats his eggs. RJ McPot checking in for every 100. And thank you, RJ McPot. He says, for every 100 yards Mike throws, he throws 1 touchdown and 1 pick. How many yards would you like to see from White? 500. 5 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 500 yards. What do you think? Is that good? Is that an actual stat, or are you just saying you're presenting a potential scenario? I don't know if that's real, but I don't know. Yeah, 500 yards. If you're going to get a touchdown and a pick, right, the more the better. More touchdowns. You get 5. An interception's not definitely points, but a touchdown is, right? So I would say that. Matt, no, Lamar Jackson, the cornerback that was on the Jets. You got to keep up, buddy. Come on. You got to know about our 4th string and practice squad and all the undrafted free agents if you're going to hang here, right? You know how that goes. Shit, we were arguing about this guy. No, not the Raven. Lamar Jackson, the cornerback of the Bears. That's why it's applicable. Lamar Jackson didn't come out. Is that what you were saying, Mumtaz? Maybe that's, let me go back. Hold on. Mumtaz, maybe I completely misconstrued what you were saying. Are you talking about Lamar? You thought it was Lamar Jackson, the Raven? If that's the case, I would feel exactly like, oh, yes, I think that's what you're saying. My bad, bro. My bad. So he's saying, what the hell's Lamar Jackson know about our locker room? No, they're talking to Lamar Jackson, the cornerback. They took him off our practice squad earlier this year. They poached him, as we say. They poached him. I was unhappy about that. I really liked him as a developmental guy. Thing is, I thought he was a fantastic candidate to switch to safety. His issue is that he kind of loses the ball when he turns with the wide receiver. So he's a very good player with the play in front of him. Hits hard, short tackler, huge. He was the biggest cornerback in the whole draft. He's like 6'3", 230, something like that. So I thought, oh yeah, this guy has a safety with the play in front of him. He's fantastic. But they never did it. But they did like him. But they put him on the practice squad and he got poached. So that's where it is. That's where the confusion's coming from. I see it now. That's what it is. Let's see. Dong Hung Lo. This is going to be the last thing. We're going to get out of here. This is like literally, guys. I got on here at 9:30. I thought it was going to be a 1-hour stream. I'm out of my mind. I don't know how I can't stop. Dong Hung Lo says Jermaine Johnson and Q combined for 6 sacks. Let me tell you something. If it's Justin Fields, while I still think they'll obviously going to get pressure, getting the sack is going to be significantly more difficult, right? We know that. I still think they'll get a couple, but if it's Trevor Siemian, I think this is somewhere in the neighborhood of what we'll be looking at. Now, is it going to be those 2 guys? I don't know. I'll tell you what, Quinnen has 8 now, right? Does Quinnen Williams have 8? Let me see real quick. Stats. Let me just see real quick. Pro Football Reference, one of my favorite places in the whole wide world. Let's see. Sacks for this year. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half, 6, 7 and a half, 8. He has 8 sacks, guys. So if Denzel, if Quinnen Williams somehow capitalizes on this game and gets 2, it'll be his first double-digit sacks. This is already his highest. He's never broken 8 before, so we've already cracked through his glass ceiling. It's going to be, dude, this is an opportunity. Now, the thing is, guys, I hate to get crazy and just assume we're going to win because that's not the case. Hapless as I said, but if Justin Fields is out there, bro, they can win. They can win. Right? And they're surging right now. So, and the other thing is this is something that we have, as Jets fans, have to remember. The same way that we're looking at their team as an opportunity to kind of get on the right track, settle it down, they're doing the same thing. They're looking at a team that for all intents and purposes, has exceeded expectations. They played a bunch of third-string quarterbacks. They had a miracle win in Cleveland, blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? All the stuff. And they just put up 3 points, 2 yards in a whole half of football, and had to bench their star quarterback. And our offensive line is in shambles. Breece Hall's in, like, they're looking at our team the same way we're looking at theirs, guys. Now we have our defense and we have a lot more talent, I think, spread around the team, but they're doing the same thing. They're looking at the Jets, especially at this particular moment in our season with everything going on. They're looking at the Jets as an opportunity to get right. Believe me, especially if Fields is playing. You know what I mean? So just know that. Know that. How's he doing? AGM Productions. Good to see you. He says Riley Rife is trash or washed. Is that accurate? Remember, a lot of guys wanted him. I thought he would have been a good pick too, or a good signing, but they fucking overpaid him crazy. I don't even know how he's doing though. I gotta take a minute and really look into their stuff. I'm not doubting Adrian. I'm cautious, buddy. I mean, you got to be constructive, in my opinion. I'm a consider both sides guy. I do that in all facets of my life. Now, for much of my life, I was very one side. Raw. It is or isn't. Like, that's how I was for a long time. The last 15 years of my life, I'm not that way. I try to listen. I try to consider everything. So I want to make sure you don't just assume some shit, because then it gets crazy. Then you get real upset. I think we're going to win this game. My prediction, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. My prediction is 24-10 New York Jets. That's what I think is going to happen. I also think that their 7 points is going to come from some sort of offensive mishap. I got a feeling. I think 24-10 New York Jets. Guys, you are the best. Coin flip will lose. I love it. With that all said, let's say this. If you haven't liked the video, please do. Please do. It means so much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, we are just about, where am I? Let me see. I'm just about to pass 9,300. We're trying to get to 10,000 by December 31st. That's my 2-year anniversary. I'm trying to get to 10,000. I just passed 9,300 today during this stream. I was at like 9,290 when we started, so I got like 12 more. Thank you. But if you haven't subscribed, it's appreciated. It helps the goal. And why no time like right now? Why not? One more thing. If you're looking for any of this stuff, Liquid IV, use my promo code. This is like the best hydration stuff on the market right now. It's what I'm told by everybody. Like I said, I never heard of it. They sent me some stuff. We tried them. Everybody loves it. My wife loves it. Everybody loves it. Before I never heard of it. They're all like, oh my God, we love that stuff. You can save 25% by using my promo code. It's in the description. Click the link. Use GreenBean Jetsfan, all one word, and you save 25%. Wouldn't that be nice? So go ahead and do that. All that said, very recent to subscriber. Well, thank you, David. I appreciate that, man. I'm glad you're here, man. Sincerely. Let's end on that wonderful note by David. Look, everybody's loving the Liquid IV. Go ahead, get yourself some, Jim Dandy. Guys, that's going to do it. I appreciate you being here. Have a great night. What outro should I guess I'll just use some old clips. Let's do this one. Guys, have a great night. I'll see you next time.
Big day. Coach Middleton,
yes,
what an unbelievable effort.
Yes,
Your
it was.
inspiration at halftime, they got it there, man.
Well, I appreciate your effort, man. Hell of a job. You should be proud of yourself.
so proud of everybody. I mean, it's been a hell of a year watching this damn game, but whatever it freaking takes, offense. I freaking love the way y'all ran the ball today, man. That was freaking awesome. How about Braxton?
And don't forget, we got to get Joe Klecko in the Hall of Fame this year. This is his best chance to get in, and we are going to help him. Mark Gastineau, as we know, got 22 sacks in 1984. 22 sacks. No one has eclipsed that. No one has touched it. And then Michael Strahan comes along, and they were in the final game of the season, and it looked like he just wasn't going to do it. And what happens? Brett Favre, with very little time left in the game, rolls out to the right and just lays down. The tight end barely went to block him. It was as if they talked about in the huddle. Let's just give Strahan the record. He's earned it. It sure as heck looked like they planned it. He rolled out, laid in front of him, and Strahan went nuts, and the NFL acted as if things were all hunky-dory, like nothing was awry. No one cares. Just give away records, especially from a team and a man that don't have much. It's all we got, and you had to take it from us, man. Here's what I want to say about Pro Football Focus. Shut up already. Do your numbers, okay? Do your numbers. Tell us what your PFF score for the backup offensive lineman on the Los Angeles or Las Vegas Raiders is, so we can argue about it with our friends, and shut up with everything else because you guys don't know what you're talking about. That's my thoughts on PFF. Shut your face already. Nobody cares. You're dumb. Either get your house in order and be consistent with your writing, or just stop it. So that's that. That's all I got to say.